morning, everybody, and welcome to this session, which is specifically launching the VALUE4HER Connect, basically the women agribusiness platform being launched by Agri CTA across Africa. And today we are launching the Tanzania chapter. I wish to particularly recognize the presence of our guest of honor here in Tanzania, who is Dr. Sophia Kashenge. She is the CEO of Agricultural Seed Agents, which is the government parastatal working on seed, specifically supporting the private sector and the government in making sure that the seed is deployed across board. But also online, we have Judith Kitivo, who is from USA, and she'll give us a special address on USAID agenda on women empowerment online. I would also want to thank other panelists who are basically here and online today. These are Dr. Regina Kapinka from International Institute of Agriculture, IITA, the one and only Dr. Anna Tem from Sokoine University of Agriculture. We have Mboka Munitu, Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank. We have Elizabeth Swai, AKM Greeters, Fatma Fernandez, Queenswood Group, Aditya Tabil, Managing Director, Agribusiness Solutions. We have Josephine Kaiser from Britain, Brigitta Faustin, founder and CEO of Tanzania, Rosie Rio from Progress Center. Thank you for your time and being here. But also from Nairobi team, we have our Vice President, Vanessa Adams, who is our Vice President for Partnership. She has been at the center of developing this particular platform and making sure it happens. And also we have Major Shil, who is the overall organizer for the platform. In that case, I would want to explain a little bit about the platform, which is basically our move to make sure that our women participate both as partners and beneficiaries of agri and agricultural interventions in Africa. Looking behind, we wanted to improve our numbers in the women participation. And so we deliberately started with Agri itself. You could see the Agri top leadership is all about women. But also currently you understand that Tanzania now we have the first women president in East Africa, Mama Samia Suluhu. And we want to make this a success through that particular leverage we have, both from Agri and from the nationwide Tanzania as a government. And by virtue of that, Stella, if you give me an allowance, after my short speech, I should invite Dr. Sophia Kashenge. I should invite the Agri team, Nairobi Subdio, or Vanessa, because I don't see Subdio, you are there. So Subdio will come and provide the background of VALUE4HER platform as a women agribusiness platform that is expected to be a game changer for the women participation in the agribusiness platforms in Africa. After which Vanessa will come in, and then we'll invite our guest of Anna Sophia Kashenge to give an opening remark. Welcome, Subdio.
Thank you very much, Vianney, and good morning, Tanzania, hamjambo. My name is Subdio Dido. I'm the head of gender and inclusion at Agri, and I'm so pleased to join you this morning. I hope I'm audible enough. And yeah, first of all, please allow me to offer my condolences for the loss of course, the late president, a very aspirational, visionary leader. Yeah, condolences to you all. And of course, it's such a big loss for you, but also for us as Africans. And I also would like to commend Tanzanians for now having such a strong woman president. This is again, I mean, every tragedy has a silver lining. So again, we are hopeful and very proud of Her Excellency, Madame Suluhu, And I think for Tanzania, today, as we celebrate this event, as we launch in Value for Her, in a way, we also celebrate her and how far she has come, and wish her also all the best in this new endeavor. Now, speaking for Agra and the gender unit that I head, we, of course, most of you know us, and I know you know Vianney's team. We are in the business of agricultural transformation. Food and nutrition security, of course, is our key ambition, and we're looking at catalyzing ag transformation that certainly will benefit everybody and eradicate hunger and malnutrition from Africa. And we know that is very much possible. And we know it is possible because we have a lot of resources in Africa. And if we can transform these resources, and one of our key resources is human capacity, human capital. And in this regard, I look at women across Africa who are in agriculture production, certainly in Tanzania. And we come in from the point of view and conviction that if, for example, all the people, farmers, smallholder farmers, women, men, youth, have what they need to be productive, then we can turn around our food and nutrition security, and we can turn around job opportunities, and we can turn around income and employment for our people, and we can eradicate food and nutrition security. That is where we come from. So with a program like Value for Her, we actually want to facilitate this transition, particularly for women. Of course, we have a program around youth employment in agriculture. We broadly look at inclusion, how agriculture transformation can benefit smallholder farmers, but can also benefit those who are not directly in production, but are hungry and malnourished. But this particular one is targeting women in agriculture, particularly women in agribusiness. And I am so glad to join so many of women agripreneurs from Tanzania today to bring this conversation to Tanzania. So what is this program about? So I'm going to share with you a few slides, just 3 slides, to just sort of paint the picture as to why we are in this, why we initiated such a program and what is in it for you. And just to start off, let me see whether I'll be able to beam this without, yes, good. So if you are able to see my screen, so we know that the reason why there are challenges around performance and productivity, particularly for women, we know generally there are issues, of course, around smallholder productivity in Africa. We are trying to address this through various ways, but particularly for women, their situation is compounded by gender. And this is why we have this special lens. Much as we look also at smallholder farmers, we also have this special lens and this special purpose vehicle, this program, to address the issues that women face in agriculture, particularly in agribusiness. And we know the constraints around access to land. We know the constraints around access to capital. We know the constraints around mobility and agency and the ability to take decisions to be able to make something meaningful for themselves. Of course, with all these restrictions, then you wonder how far can a woman go actually in progressing her investment and in progressing her business. And so these gender factors come in and become business factors, and they actually constrain the business performance of women. And we know from statistics that women's enterprises across Africa are performing far less than small businesses led by men. And we know from the recent statistics that has been given by the World Bank that the profitability gap, which is really one of the key indicators of performance, is at 34%. So this program is actually aimed at growing agribusinesses for women, to assist women to grow their businesses. And how do we do that? Because we know the underlying issues. The underlying issues are how can women access markets? Yeah, remember we talked about how mobility is a challenge, how information and access to information is a challenge, how access to finance and capital is a challenge, and just generally networks, networks, business networks, social networks that help you to progress your own thinking, to progress your own capacity, and to progress your own thinking. So this program addresses series of these factors. Now, as our change agenda, we are looking at how then we can support businesses to pursue a growth trajectory. So where do they start? They start, of course, we know most of the women are farmers, right? Some of them will graduate to becoming businesses. And we want to nurture this. We want to nurture those that have entrepreneurial mindset and would like to venture into some form of business beyond production. And then there is the micro businesses, which is actually a big group, yeah, of women. And this is, and this group, they are doing businesses right now, small businesses, they don't go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. This is what we would like to nurture so that they're able to be more aspirational, more ambitious, and have a growth mindset. Yeah. But we also know that this is not going to happen if they are not able to access the business resources and capabilities that is needed to grow. Yeah. So we have what we call the trajectory that we support is called a value creation, a business graduation pathway. And we're looking at putting in place 4 different capitals. The first is what we call the women's social capital. This is harnessing the power of the collectives. You know the power of women groups in Africa. The women groups, the village savings and credit schemes. This has really advanced not only the capital base of women, but also the voice and the agency of women. So this is important, and we are building this pillar. The second pillar we are building is women's access to market. Is very, very important. And we are looking at a more structured access to growth markets, because right now the operations are within local markets. We have, of course, underlying issues like mobility and stuff like that. This will be addressed, of course, through advocacy, but this is a key pillar. Then the access to capital, yeah, finance. This is very important for business, yeah? And then, of course, knowledge and capability to be able to lead and to grow businesses. Now, on the market side, we are looking at bringing different private sector actors closer to women. So we're looking at how to catalyze, for example, women that are in regional and global trade. These are women who can take products from lower businesses. So the issue is, how do we create these linkages? How do we create these relationships? Then the agenda intention, private sector bias, generally private sector to come and engage with the women, financiers and investors to engage with these businesses, and of course the advocacy to really increase the space, to increase that space for voice, the space for agency, the space for mobility, the space to address gender-based violence that actually goes, for example, with mobility and stuff like that. So to facilitate this program, we have something we call VALUE4HER Connect. This is the platform that brings women companies from across Africa together. And the program, actually, this platform facilitates the program. So all that ambition I talked about, we bring the integrated resources together on this platform for easy access for women. So if you're a woman entrepreneur and you would like to access these services, you register on this platform. There's going to be a link that will be shared on the chat. Please register. And this platform is structured in these 4 ways, pretty much alongside what I described as the needs for women's businesses to grow. So there's the women to women pillar, creating the networks across the continent. Yes, you are in Tanzania, but you would like to connect with somebody in Ivory Coast, for example, yeah? In Uganda, in Kenya, in Ethiopia. If you come here, you will find women businesses from across Africa, yeah? And you can interact, you can make your own subgroups, you make your own chat, you make your own network, you expand your network. And then there's a women to market pillar. This is now where we are actually going to facilitate the matchmaking between women companies and the market actors. The same for finance. and of course, the women to know how this is where we build capacity, skill, knowledge to be able to advance business growth. So this is really what VALUE4HER is about. And my call to you today, and I know Tanzania has some very, very strong women in business. My call to you today is let us build this infrastructure together. Let us build this program together. Let's progress Tanzania, but let's also progress Africa together. So thank you so much. There are a series of programs, by the way, that we keep churning out. So from this initiative, please look out, log on, follow us, and learn from and make use of this initiative. So this is what I would like to share. Vianney, over to you, and thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Subdio. I'm going to bring in our overall facilitator, who is Fatma Fernandez, and then she will come our keynote speaker today, who is Dr. Sophia Kashenge from ASA. Welcome, Fatma.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you on this platform. It's a beautiful platform for us women. And we are lucky because we're in Tanzania and we have a woman president. So, so I'll read a short bio of Dr. Sophia Kashenga. Dr. Sophia is a PhD holder in plant breeding from University of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. She holds a master's degree in agronomy and a bachelor's degree in agriculture from Sokoine University of Agriculture. At her current position with ASA, she is responsible for making major corporate decisions, managing overall operations and resources of the National Agriculture Seed Institute under the Ministry. Prior to being the CEO of ASA, Dr. Kashenge was the country's rice lead scientist responsible for coordinating rice scientists and rice research in the country. Between 2015 and 2017, she was a director at Solino Research Center, now called TARI, Dakawa. The center has a country mandate for research and technology development on rice, maize, and horticulture crops. As ahead of research, she managed, among other things, the 4 research projects, enhancing partnerships among NAFASA and Tuboresho Chakula programs for fast-tracking delivery and scaling of agricultural technologies in Tanzania under USAID Africa Raising NAFASA, IPM on rice diseases and insect pests in major rice-growing areas of Tanzania, and under ICIPE. She also worked with the demonstrated rice and sunflower production technologies, value addition and marketing options under Gita Goldman, and worked in collaboration with Mikocheni Research Institute, Tanzania, and Tanzania Institute of Agricultural Policy and Development at Egerton University in Kenya, in varietal and zonal monitoring of real-life productivity and value projects to track the adoption and diffusion of improved varieties of beans, cassava, maize, and rice in Tanzania under BMGF through Tegemeo Institute of Agricultural Policy and Development with Egerton University in Kenya. Between 2012 and 2014, Dr. Kashenge was a head of crop improvement section at the Regional Rice Center of Excellence based at Katrine Research Institute in Ifakara, Morogoro, Tanzania, in collaboration with CGIA Centers, Agri and Africa Rice, Tanzania Seed Traders Association, and Ohio State University Consortium. I'd like to welcome you, Dr. Kashende. Today, your keynote speech would be speaking in the theme of in-country networking with regards to how do we push forward the value for platform for Tanzania and for Africa. Thanks, Sam.
Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. As I have been introduced, my name is Dr. Sophia Kashenge, and I'm a CEO of Agricultural Seed Company. This is a national seed company. We are working all over the country, helping farmers to get improved seed. But why are we working on improved seed while there are lots of private companies working on improved seed? Yeah, we're working on improved seed because we need to help farmers to have seeds at a bit of affordable price, because most of our companies are working on few major crops which have a lot of big value return to investing. So when you look at what we're working on is on almost all the crops, but most of the seed companies are working on, for example, maize, vegetable, as for example, some sunflower seeds, but we're working on almost 25 products, making farmers to have the improved seed. So we are working very closely with TARI as a Tanzania Agricultural Research Center to bring the varieties which have been developed under Tanzanian conditions to get them straight.
How do you share things here?
We are the base of the agriculture.
Tanzania plan, please unmute the panelist. It's not, we can't hear her.
Okay. Oh. So nawasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, and we say that kazi inaendelea. That means in the name of the United Republic of Tanzania, I greet you all, and we had said that the job proceeds. So generally, I feel honored and pleased to be invited to officiate this special country networking event across our countries. VALUE4HER. The name by itself is really encouraging and energizing. So really, I'm very happy to be part in launching this important women's advocacy event. We are very much pleased that Tanzania today is rolling out this continental program at country level. Thank you all for this, and especially the founder of the idea and the organizers too. I'm told that the event aims at promoting interaction between women, companies, market actors, and other public development actors for better understanding of the need, opportunity, and honestly, we really missed this as women. The event is also aimed at sensitizing women, companies, and partners on the program VALUE4HER and its service offering in order to make sure that it gets more women and impact them. This is really good. Once again, I and other Tanzanian women, we congratulate Agri for having this program, which aims at increasing value for women from their agribusiness background by strengthening their small and medium enterprises through access to market, access to finance, access to capital, knowledge and skill, and building collective mentorship, role modeling, and help them to overcome their tough gender barrier in business environment. Again, I would like to applaud Agri on the selected approach. This one, actually, we are gathering here. We use at least the power of digital networking. Taking the limited time we as women, having this kind of gathering is really good because everyone can participate at least where she or she is. So I really applaud the Agri for this kind of gathering using the digital networking. And what makes us more excited is that it's not only connecting women to women, but also we are connected with market actors, financiers, and everything. So this is what we are missing actually as women. So VALUE4HER really has a lot of potential in women connectivity, which most of the time has become a very big barrier in business and also in networking among women. So another thing which makes us excited is the fact that this is the first African women in agribusiness digital marketing place. So again, thank you for this. This designed digital marketplace help women and entrepreneurs to overcome the gender barrier, access the business resource and services as they need to grow their business and make them profitable. Another most exciting advantage is that the platform enhances visibility of women in agribusiness, help them to connect to capital, at least to network across the country and the continent. In this regard, it's very important for them at least to meet with the buyers and to develop their confidence that they can make their business relationship in a secure online environment. So you can do it everywhere, at home or anywhere you are, so that you can connect with the market which you need and just have the extended network for any work you are doing. So this is something which actually we commend Agri for this. So we as women generally, we have to swim against the current. So there are lots of barriers. So we get, now one of the challenges she has just explained earlier on is the networking, at least to know where exactly you can connect and get the market or any information you need. So this actually we really commend Agri for this. Thank you, the organizer, for this program. As we understand, the statistics shows that women produce 60 to 80% of the world food, making 70% of agricultural labor. Therefore, women are central to agriculture. But for quite some time now, their role has not been acknowledged well enough to attract the requisite investment. We know that women lack access to productive resources and assets, means that they produce much less than their male counterparts. Now, making agriculture digital, especially now when there is escalating need for information and industrial material. This is the kind of platform that imagines most of the opportunities for women to, and it offers promises to women and youth in agriculture, accelerating the access to marketing information, access to financiers, access to investors, and the access to technical assistance so that they can develop themselves and become more stronger. We know that they need smartphones, for example, and gadgets to enable them to use online services and internet connectivity. This is really challenging, especially for most of rural women. But the things are getting better. And the way we know our women now, they can organize themselves in groups and at least help manage to have those cell phone gadgets to help them at least to connect to what we are supposed to do now. So the only information is to get proper information to them, and slowly we will get to where we want to be. There is no time better than this. This is the proper time. We do not have to wait longer. Sometimes pausing can make us lose the opportunity. So we don't know tomorrow what tomorrow will bring. We have to start now. So lazima kazi iendelee, as our mama said, Madam President. Now, over the years, great progress has been made to protect the rights of women and girls. We have seen global food security has been improved, but the challenges are still there. So in this is why both empowering women and food security are overriding priorities of African Union agenda, especially 2063 and the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. This international agreement provides strong framework for comprehensive approach to realizing gender equality and empowerment for women and girls, especially in rural areas. For the case of Tanzania now, we have a clear, articulated long and medium-term policy framework for the economy in general and for agriculture sector in particular. The long-term policy framework places agriculture at the center and involves various sector and subsector policies. When you look at these policies in general, you find that they generally connect to what this platform is and this program is, because when all these policy programs, they really focus on improvement of agriculture sector, improving livelihood, building strong competitive economy, engaging commercial value chains, engaging surpluses, for example, producing surplus for export aiming, focus transformation in agriculture, modernizing and commercializing, especially utilizing resources in a sustainable manner. So when you look at all these policies, they just zoom in touching agriculture, and when you touch agriculture, automatically you touch the women. So most of the time, all these programs, when they just executed very well, they just going to improve the livelihood of the women and girls and make them stronger. So this network actually connects very well to what the platform, the policy programs are for the country. So we have a lot of benefits when all these are executed. I'm sure that it will just increase the operating efficiency at farm level, improve the production and market access as well as logistics. We will get the improved access to markets, improve the institution capacity, human resource at all levels, and it will bring more balanced participation of women and men, old and young, in development of income generating activity, both at household level, community level, and decision making process. So in this case, I am very much pleased to be here, and I will just call upon ladies, let us take this opportunity and get the task going. We have to make sure that we move from where we are and connect to the market. I'm very happy to find that at least there are more than 750 groups which has already been connected through this program. And we have learned that we need to struggle as women. So it's good to take this opportunity, and I'm very happy there that within the group there are so many young entrepreneurs, and which I have seen them. For example, the Hadija Jaffe. I know the lady, but I haven't met her. So it connects them at least, and it tries to overcome all those barriers of information which we used to have. So thank you very much. And most of the time, what I have learned is that you will never be defined by just what you achieve, but how you survive. So we need to survive and make sure that we get all this knowledge and skill and connection so that we move and we get our agribusiness understood all over the country and beyond. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Kashende, for that liberating speech. I will now call on Diane so that we can introduce our next speaker, Vanessa Adams. Karibu, Diane.
Thank Thank you, Fatma, our moderator. I'm now going to introduce our Vice President for Partnership, Vanessa Adams. So you know, Vanessa Adams came to Agri and she has some sort of revolutionizing the digitization. And then I think she spearheaded the women to be in front of that. So we would want to hear our ideas as we move forward into the panels. So I would want to welcome Vanessa for that particular moment. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. I hope my internet connection is stable enough. I know that today will be at least the first day of Ramadan. So for those of you who are fasting, I wish you a very, very peaceful and happy time fasting. So Ramadan Kareem. I also appreciate watching all of you sanitizing the Tanzania microphone and panel, because we're still in very, very difficult COVID times, and many of you have suffered terrible losses, both terrible losses personally, family, business losses, loss of revenue, loss of markets, market volatility. And we are very, very well aware that times like this are going to continue for a number of reasons. I was actually yesterday on a panel with a very compelling speaker who reminded us that while we focus on recovering from COVID, we're also required to start thinking into the future and planning for the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And many of you are so well aware that climate change is upon us. We have increasing pests and weather pattern changes. And all of these come to challenge not just smallholder farmers, but small businesses and every organization who struggle for funding. So with that today, in light of this fantastic initiative, which is VALUE4HER, which Sabdio spoke to earlier, and where we are taking advantage of this new world of technology platforms to roll out and expand and scale up the VALUE4HER platform. And we've been so pleased to see the turnout over the last 2 months. We've had more than 1,000 participants in sessions like these, country by country and region by region. And for those of you who are looking online right now, we have callers and participants from Ethiopia, from Kenya, Argentina, around Africa, joining us today and joining Tanzania. And so I was very pleased to hear Dr. Kashenge just now speaking about markets and about Tanzania as a market actor. And we really, really see that opportunity. We see how much the changes over the past year in Tanzania have been challenging and providing new leadership, but also with the advent this year in 2021 of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we actually see this as a pivot year for Africa. Africa having integrated free trade, and for food and agriculture, this is a huge and tremendous leap forward. So with the use of technology adoption, whether it be through digital, whether it be through improved seeds and inputs, whether you be using new technologies for your businesses, or finding new financial tools and products that can enable you. There are 7 points which I would like to put for you today to think about. How are we doing? Let's assess ourselves and support each other to move forward. How are we doing as a community of powerful women in business, women in ag, women in Africa? The first principle, which is so critical in my view and my experience, is the fundamental principle of business, which is if your business and your organization is not growing, it is in fact dying. And so how do you maintain growth? What are you doing to grow, whether it's through increased investment, increased loans, increased capitalization? How are you growing your markets? I, for one, am so pleased that this month we're actually launching the Arise program. This program is possible to be reached through the Value for Her platform. Any businesswoman, manager, and particularly focusing on those women in business who need financial acumen. And that's, from my view, every single one of us. So that's really a fantastic tool and opportunity. The second principle is the principle of togetherness, the principle that you know so well. Going together, we're stronger. Going alone, we are weaker. We are more vulnerable. Why is this important? So many policies need influence, input from women entrepreneurs. And how can one woman talk to how can one minister or one governor or one leader talk to thousands of women and thousands of businesses? So really working together through business networks, through advocacy groups, through associations is absolutely essential. And I know that Tanzania is a leader on the continent in cooperatives even. When the cooperatives move forward and work together, everybody benefits. The third principle is competitiveness. In fact, many of you are businesses struggling to compete against so many different inputs and markets and struggling with imports. And yet competitiveness is fundamental to how we grow our businesses. And with African Continental Free Trade Area, our hope is that Africa's competitiveness will grow through multi-country engagements and larger organizations supporting each other and business networks. The fourth principle, which I think we should think about and commit to, every one of us, is mentorship. Women always struggle and fight to grow and lead and have to take care of their communities, but it's another story entirely to become a mentor, to commit to 2 or 3 other leaders. Someone online asked about youth. What are we doing for women, young women, for the future of women, for how our communities strengthen? This is through, in my view, mentorship, not friendship, not being nice to people, but coaching and taking on other partners and committing to weekly structured mentorship. The fifth principle, which I've mentioned already, and all of you are mentioning today and what we're doing right now, is networking. And in networking, there are a few opportunities that this year have beyond all other years. One is through the Food Systems Summit. And I think Tanzania, as other countries have in Africa, have begun with food systems dialogues as a country. But there are global dialogues, independent dialogues. Everyone is looking to the transformation of food systems to be sustainably contributing to reducing food loss and food waste, to improving healthy diets, and to nature positive agriculture. This is something which will also be addressed in this year's African Green Revolution Forum and through the Deal Room. We hope to see many increased investments in so many of your businesses, and preparing for that is absolutely essential. But this brings me to the sixth principle, which is continuous learning. How are we continuously learning, growing, reassessing, and adopting new technologies? The world is changing and changing fast, and we know that everybody has to fight to keep up. We're benchmarking businesses in Africa against businesses around the world. There's actually no limit today that you can't compete with businesses from around the world. And my final point is about scale. We are ambitious, and so are you. Scaling up, reaching not just the 1,000 women entrepreneurs who have participated in the Value for Her platform and on the webinars, but we want to reach 10,000. No, we want to reach 100,000 women entrepreneurs in agriculture across Africa and strengthen that voice and that network. And we are working through and with other partners such as UN Women who are online today such as Awan, such as many of your national associations, which Vianney will actually speak to as well. And we know that through this scale, we can actually see transformation, which is sustained. So with that, I really, really, really appreciate this session, all of the attendees, and all of the women who are driving through your entrepreneurship, through your technology solutions, that we hope that we can find ways to support you and see you grow this year and in many years to come. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vianney.
Two panel discussions. We'll start with the first one. The objective for the first one is addressing key barriers for women empowerment in agriculture. I'd just love to summarize what Vanessa said for the rest of the attendees and panelists. The key takeaways are the 7 points. One, business, is it growing? And how are you growing your business? Number 2, togetherness. Together we are stronger, and everybody benefits. Number 3 is competitiveness. We have to be competitive because the world is competing. So Africa has to compete with the world. Number 4 is mentorship, committing to growing another fellow woman. So this is something that I think VALUE4HER is going to make sure that we do that. Networking, very, very important. Please make sure that before you leave today, you have at least, spoken to 1 or 2 women in this attendance today and find out how well you can connect to them. Continuous learning. We're always learning. The world is changing, and we have to make sure that we are adapting to this business world. And lastly, scaling. We have to want to be bigger than whatever KPIs that we give to ourselves. So thank you very much, Vanessa. On to our panel discussion. Today we have 3 speakers, both from Bonito from Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank. We have Dr. Regina Emilian Kapinga from IITA Tanzania. We also have Dr. Anna Tem from Sokoine University of Agriculture. So I will introduce one by one, and then we'll see it from there. Sorry. So according to the timetable, the next address is from Judith Kitivo from USA, and I'd like to read her bio. Judith Kitivo is the horticulture specialist working with USA Tanzania Mission in Economic Growth Office. She manages the horticulture portfolio and programs implemented through various development assistance mechanisms at the mission. Prior to joining USA Economic Growth Office, she has worked with Tanzania Ministry of Agriculture for almost 14 years, serving as the horticulture subject matter specialist, coordinating technical and policy-related horticulture matters between the ministry and the local government authorities. Judith holds a Master's of Science in Community Economic Development from the Southern New Hampshire University of Manchester, USA, and a Bachelor of Science in Horticulture from Acumen University of Morogoro, Tanzania. Judith works in agricultural community development programs, and she has extensive horticultural specialist knowledge gained over the years through diverse in-country and overseas training and assignments. Today, Judith will be speaking on USA's goals on women economic empowerment agenda and how that links with VALUE4HER program. Karibu sana, Judith.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to make sure that you can hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly? Yeah. Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for confirming that. So just not to waste time, I have been introduced, but today I'm happy to speak on behalf of USAID Tanzania mission. And as USAID, really, we feel so privileged and so honored to be invited on this special event, which is very, very important to making sure that women are well connected and they are given opportunities to handle businesses and grow. And thank you so much from all former speakers, because you have said it very well. We have witnessed the people, everyone talking that really women need to be given opportunities, but then to be sustainable in doing businesses. Please go to next slide. So just to give some few highlights, I want to mention that USAID Tanzania really is like having its strategies built on empowering women and youth. Of course, we know that in the group of youth, we have women, the young women who are growing to be tomorrow's, and of course, women, and we need to build their capacity from the early stages. So just a few highlights that USAID Tanzania really is building its activities on its country development strategies. And I wanted to bring just some touches that we have our new country development strategy, which is starting from 2020 to 2025. And its goal is like to advance youth, long-term prosperity and the journey to self-reliance. So we want to make sure that we build the capacity of youth now, but then we want them to be sustainable, to move towards growth and a point where they can really do businesses and grow more and have like sustainable opportunities, and making sure that we can see even that they spill over to other youth. So this is our new country development strategy, which will go to 2025. The focus will be more on youth, and we will be having some development objectives focusing on early ages below 15, but again, we'll have some economic opportunities and empowerment to from 15 to 35, but also we'll have on building the capacity of state and non-state actors. Next slide, please, Stella. Okay, thank you. So from our, whatever I'm going to talk about our work, the USAID intervention that we have been doing really were built or rooted from the old strategy that expired just in 2019. Which had a goal on socioeconomic transformation towards middle income status by 2025. And we are very happy to see really that Tanzania moved to this stage very quickly. So we are happy to see that at least we had a strategy focusing on moving Tanzania to middle income, and we have seen things happening, knowing that we had some contribution towards that one through whatever work we are doing in Tanzania. So the focus from the old strategy, of which I'm going to give some few insights of activities we have been implementing, we are focusing on empowering women and youth. I want to read all the words, but really it's not like USAID Tanzania is only working in maybe economic growth, but we also work in health, water, sanitation, and also education programs. But today I'm going to narrow in the economic opportunities. Next slide, Stella. Thank you. So some initiatives really that the USAID Tanzania has been doing to empower women economically. As I mentioned before, we have our work that is also considering inclusion of working with the private sector partners on the ground. But mostly we have been focusing on building technical assistance exposure to agribusiness opportunities, leadership capacity building, information sharing, but also networking. So the idea is like we wanted really to facilitate beneficiaries to realize the opportunities available through both on-farm but also on-farm opportunities. And we have heard from other speakers that really everyone was talking about building and making business opportunities growing up to women. So there are opportunities that you have been working on, value addition, processing, but also a lot of entrepreneurship initiatives along the value chain that we are touching. But also to build some business skills, building capacity, making sure that these women understand what they can earn from whatever investment they are going to do. So building the business skills, capacities, but also providing opportunities to access credits, but also some grants which can enable them to get some seed funds to start businesses, but also have their contribution, making sure that whatever they do is really getting sustained and is growing to next level and improving their life and the livelihoods in general. But also I want to mention that USAID Tanzania had some targeted value chain support. We have been working in rice, maize, and horticultural value chains, but the idea is really to increase the productivity and the competitiveness of the value chains, making sure that women really get the opportunities, they are exposed to whatever it can change their lives through good agricultural practices, but giving them the farming as business packages, showing them the opportunities for product development, adhering to standards which can make them more competent and enter the markets, but also adding value and growing more economically. So from whatever USAID has been doing, we have been prioritizing women through our various activities. We have some staple NAFACA activity that has been really putting women in front, making sure that they get opportunities along the rice and maize value chains. But we have a horticultural activity that we have been implementing through our Mboga na Matunda activity, but also working with the Tanzania Horticultural Association, TAHA, and the idea was to put women up front. We have some specific criteria to make sure that the opportunities are really maximizing the inclusion of women. But we have also other activities like Lishe Endelevu, which is focusing on nutrition, and we have been working on empowering pregnant women and lactating mothers to make sure that they are empowered in nutrition knowledge, but also adopting the economic opportunity that can make them more healthy, but able to care for the coming generation, knowing that we can't have a healthy nation if we don't start from the early age of the childhood age. Next slide, Stella. Thank you. So I want to read the figures, but that is like basically showing how we are like putting women up front. You can see the percentages of women inclusion through the Mboga na Matunda horticulture activity, but also through the advancing youth activity. So we have been putting women up front through training opportunities. We have been training our beneficiaries on nutrition, marketing, and business skills, but also value addition, processing, and how really they can be more competent in doing business. And you have seen increasing numbers on technology adoption, but also women, when they are well trained, they are able really to access financial credits. They are trusted, of course. They are coming to a level when people can trust them, that if a woman is adopting farming as a business, it means can invest and really can be able to pay back. And we have very nice cases of successing women on that. but you have seen them also involving themselves as buyers, doing business, but also growing to a level of becoming agro dealers, something that was not maybe happening before. Because I mentioned we are working with the private sector input supply companies. Now we have some women who are also agro dealers. They are selling inputs in our rural areas where we are working in our agricultural zone of influence, basically in the SAG-40 corridor, the Southern Agriculture Growth Corridor of Tanzania. But also we have seen also increasing number of micro enterprises and some informal jobs increasing to young women from our advancing youth activity. So we see really good growth from this, but also lending opportunities from the youth savings and lending. You find that they are now trusted from the whatever the informal sector, but also banks are coming up to be comfortable lending to women. Thank you. Next slide, please, Stella. Yeah, so just to give a hint of what is happening, those are a few photos showing how we prioritize women inclusion through demonstration of nutritional trainings. You can see a number of women there, but also some children coming closer. From the right and the left photos, you see those are some sort of nutrition trainings. Next slide, Stella. Yeah, thanks. So we are making these women really adopt. You see, it's like they are adopting these selling points, which are very nice. Like what was happening, putting some nutritious stuff just randomly on the floor, but you want them to move to another level of like growing up and adopting such kind of stalls where they can put their produce well and do really farming as their business. So not only that every woman can be a farmer, but you want them to get all available opportunities along the value chain, even if it's selling, is it processing, or doing other stuff related to the value chains. Next. Yeah, you see them, the others are becoming buyers and sellers, and they buy in bulk. So women are really waking up when they are doing, but the right photo shows a woman who is growing orange fleshed sweet potato, but also a processor processing it to nutritious powder, something like that. So it's not like they are doing small things. Now they are doing big things, which we really want to spill over everywhere. Next. Yeah, these are some women who are processors. You can see the left photo, that is the young youth from our youth activities. They are processing nutritious moringa and spices, but the right side shows a woman who is also a village agricultural advisor. So they adopted, they got some grants from USAID, and they have bought this rice thresher, which is now used like to raise funds. You can fresh rice for her, but also from other growers. So that is also an income generating activities. Next slide. Yeah, you can see value addition from left and right photos. We see participants processing some orange fleshed sweet potato biscuits and other products, but the right photo also is showing some nutrition and trainings on whatever we are doing through our various activities. Next. Yeah, so a few lessons captured, but before the lessons, the right photo shows a woman who is an agro dealer. So you can see, and that is from Zanzibar, Unguja. Now you can think of Zanzibar, culture-wise, you can think maybe women cannot do such type of things. But now from our zone of influence regions, we see things are changing. Women have been moving to another level. They are now owning like that shop where she's selling agro inputs. So you see some experts giving advice to the woman, but that is owning input shop. And imagine is in Zanzibar, where we thought like women maybe cannot do such type of stuff, but now they are doing things that are changing. So some lessons from our various activities, we see like increased really farming as business opportunities, because we are exposing them to not only on farm, but also the off-farm opportunities. So big numbers are coming up, they're adopting technologies and things are happening. But also we see more stakeholders engagement, not only from the local government staff, but also private sector partners are coming up. We introduced the participation of private sector in Support Corridor, and we see most of them have opened these businesses. Initially, it was only maybe Arusha, mostly in the Kilimanjaro, where most of the input horticultural sellers were based. But now they have moved to Sakot. We see them in Morogoro. And because we wanted to link them with the beneficiaries to make sure that farmers really can access inputs easily, we see things happening, and more agro shops are also opened in the rural areas as last mile input supply points. But again, we see like when women are getting well trained, we have seen before women based on like lending from the informal sector, VCOBAs, these village community banks. But now even banks are coming up trusting well-trained women, because they are sure that once they are given the farming as business knowledge, and they are able also to work through other opportunities along the value chain, it means those women can really repay back the loans. Unlike what was happening in the past, maybe a woman is just basing on maybe one opportunity, and when everything, I mean, something happens like the climate change effects, you find there's nothing to repay back. But now these women are really growing in their meaning business, and we are happy to see changes are happening and more people are adopting that. But also what we learned is being flexible in approaches, which can really accommodate women's special needs. We know women have multiple roles. We have seen in Afaka activity real moving to time diary documentation. You know, initially it was like men were not recognizing the work burden that women had. So we went to like documenting what a woman is doing daily and what a man does. So very surprisingly, we found very impressive results that men found that they had more leisure time really, unlike women who were like getting some time poverty because they are working beyond 12 hours per day. It's like a woman is working very early and going to bed very late, but very busy. And at the end of the day, it's not like whatever she was doing maybe cannot be recognized. But through that time diaries, when they were documenting, really men are now changing in our zone of influence because they really saw that women were getting burdened and they were doing a lot. And we see now collaboration is coming up when men are changing their behavior to helping their women in their families. So we see really we need to be flexible in some of the programs to make sure that we accommodate women's special needs and multiple roles, but also making sure that we can adjust our technology approaches to make sure that we can involve women, meaning more women. For example, our horticultural activities initially had like a technology set that maybe was focusing on drip irrigation systems, those so sophisticated type of technologies, but you only to find that sometimes you have to unbundle that bigger package to small packages that can be more user-friendly to women. And through that, we have seen more women really adopting those technologies. And some of them are even becoming drip irrigation fixers. They can fix drip irrigation kits in their communities. So they are moving even to other levels of doing things that initially maybe were thought to be done by men. Next. Thank you so much for listening. Just some few insights to show how really USAID Tanzania is engaging women through its various programming. Thank you so much, and I present. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Julie, for your presentation. Some key learning. Definitely from your presentation, we can see women have taken up farming as business, and this has really led us to us seeing increased stakeholder engagement and the learning about organizations being flexible to accommodate women and time varies, but because of the fact that this is not really recorded, it goes in passing, but we don't get seen for all the work that we do. So thank you very much, Judith. Now on to our panel discussion. The first panel constitutes of finances, commodity buyers, development institutes, and we'd like to invite the panelists to share your respective organizations in how you're contributing to addressing key barriers for women empowerment in agriculture. You have 4 minutes to tell us about this, insights from your organization. We'll have 3 panelists, Mboka Mwanitu, Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank, Dr. Regina Emilia Kapinga from IITA Tanzania, and we have Dr. Anna Temu from Sokoine University of Agriculture. I'd like to start by introducing Dr. Regina Emilia Kapinga, and a short bio on Dr. Emilia Kapinga is she's currently with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA Tanzania, in the Office of Director General as the Head of Advocacy and Resource Mobilization Unit, supporting all of IITA regional hubs across sub-Saharan Africa. From January 2019 to December 2020, she served as IITA's country representative in Uganda. Dr. Kapinga is also a focal person for the International Agricultural Research Center working in Tanzania, based in Seattle, USA for 6 years as the Senior Program Officer with Agricultural Development Program of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, BNGF. At the foundation, Regina was responsible for growth making and management in the roots, tubers, and banana portfolio. Regina has more than 30 years of experience in agricultural research for development of tropical roots and tuber crops, mainly cassava, sweet potato, and yam. She holds a PhD in agronomy and a master's degree in crop science from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. All her research studies were implemented at IITA Nigeria. Before joining Gates Foundation in 2009, Regina lived in Uganda for 8 years as the country representative for International Potato Center. Okay. In the same period, she also worked as a sweet potato regional breeder for Sub-Saharan Africa region and led an African-wide initiative of the Vitamin A for Africa Vita program, which promoted and increased the utilization of orange flesh sweet potato for combating vitamin A deficiency in Sub-Saharan Africa. Before joining SAFE in 2001, Dr. Kapinga worked for the government of Tanzania for 17 years, where she was the Director of Research, Coordination and Promotion Directorate at the Tanzania Commission for Science and Technology, COSTECH, and at the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Security and Cooperative Department of Research and Development, DRT, which is now TARI, Tanzania Agricultural Research Institute. At the ministry, she was the Senior Agricultural Research Scientist and the National Coordinator of the Roots and Tuber Crops Program. She has authored and co-authored more than 30 agricultural research publications in various forums, and I would like to welcome you, Dr. Kapinga. Please do give us your take on how can we incorporate women scientists and how can we inspire a new generation of women scientists while imparting technical skills on women farmers. Very good, Simon.
Thank you very much.
I was given the topic of talking about IITA and how does it empower women in agriculture. But all in all, that is okay. But starting with the IITA, this is a continental-wide institute dealing with international agricultural research in the agricultural research on tropical crops. And we are working in several countries, more than 15, but we have offices in most of the countries, even field offices. But our headquarters is in Nigeria, Ibadan. And since I was given the topic of gender empowerment at IITA, I wanted to discuss a bit about that, but also I will definitely talk about inspiring women. Definitely I'm part of that. But for IITA, gender is one of the biggest components we embrace, spanning from the recruitment, as I talk, almost 30% of the women of the total workforce are women, but also at country levels, the number is big. For instance, for Tanzania, women, more especially the national recruited staff, are more than 60% as compared to other colleagues. But also, deliberately, there is IITA gender empowerment policy, which ensures that at least everyone, regardless of woman or not, someone should have equal opportunities, should be listened to, should be valued, should be respected, but also have a big chance of participating in decision making. But even at recruitment level, there is no single advert which goes without having equal opportunities for women, and so women are encouraged to apply. That is not all, but also there is a whole unit addressing gender, and there is a specialist in serving all the regions, but to ensure that at least all the programs we implement in all the countries have gender component, but also staff. The majority of the researchers are also capacitated to ensure they are addressing gender. But then when it comes to supporting or mentoring, the Vice President talked about many principles. I will just pick few, but at least the mentoring, we have been using this. Yes, we researchers, but in several countries now, maybe about 15 of them, there is the program of IITA Youth Entrepreneurship, where we are focusing mainly to empower, to ensure that we are working with the countries, more especially in addressing youth unemployment. And at this level, basically, we have been working with the graduates, those from different universities, not necessarily those who did the agriculture. And these, we have seen them graduate and go and start their businesses. But also, those are just for incubation centers, but we still go ahead and get the off-campus youth also to be trained at our center. For Tanzania, actually, there is a whole 7-acre dedicated area just to support youth in agribusinesses, and in that several value chains, products, and the technologies are all displayed there, and these youth go around, use them to do pottery, to do several things where they can generate some income, but also use it as a learning platform for agribusinesses. Again, at country level, like 3 years ago, we launched a program which is known as the STEP, that is starting them early program. And this one is to deal with the students in the schools, because we noted that, yes, at the graduate level, that is okay. But also when you start with the young women and men to think about the agribusiness, then you find like it becomes so for DRC, for Nigeria, South Sudan, and a few other countries, STEP program is part of that, whereby we are engaging with the schools, more especially through their self-help work, and we display the technologies, and the students out of their work, out of their classes, they normally go and participate fully, but also that one serves as a learning platform for them. But this is not just to volunteer, but also they should see whatever they are doing, they are making money, either for school or for their programs, and this has encouraged a lot of youth to see that the opportunities even when they are still at learning place. Now, coming to your question, just for one or 2 minutes, since we have just 4 minutes, for the inspiring women in agriculture, more especially in the agribusinesses, I think we are also working very hard, and maybe we should also be used as the examples that it is not about science alone. Also, as we work very hard to ensure we have all these women whom we are mentoring, but also doing some side businesses, both at the centers, but also outside. That one also becomes okay. And I can say that we are seeing that several youth now, at least they are really engaged and they are inspired. And we have been working closely with the Agri, who's our sister institution, but also at country levels. I can talk of SUGECO. I know Professor Tem is in there, and the other places. And so we look forward to work closely with this platform of value for her, and we are happy that we are part of it. Thank you very much. Hello, I am done.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kapinga. Thank you very much, Dr. Kapinga. Now we go to our next panelist, who I'll introduce briefly, Dr. Anna Temu. She has a PhD in agricultural economics and agribusiness. She is a senior lecturer in the Department of Agricultural Economics and Agribusiness in the School of Agricultural Economics and Business Studies. She is a PhD holder majoring in marketing, trade, institutions, and agribusiness. She has extensive experience in development along agricultural value chains, a founder of Sokoine University Graduate Entrepreneurs Cooperative, SUGECO, that encourages dynamic, innovative programs that address current needs and problems of women and youth in Tanzania. She grew up on a peasantry family farm and developed a passion to work in agriculture. She later found that agriculture is more than just peasantry farming, and that is that it can be a business just like other types of businesses. From this, her entrepreneurship mind was developed. She designed SUGECO business model that embraces entrepreneurship action in mindset transformation, training, business planning, internship, incubation, mentorship, and coaching. SUGECO Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Initiative is one among various initiatives that take creativity and innovation into different heights. Dr. Anna Temu, we'd like for you to tell us about that journey, as well as how we can address key barriers of women entrepreneurship and empowerment in agriculture. You have 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope I'll be able. Do you hear me? Hello, everyone.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Good
Yes.
morning. Yeah. Okay. From that introduction, maybe I don't have to say much, but I'll tell you a little bit about Sugeko in the 4 minutes. And what we have learned so far is it's a project that I started as learning by doing and using experiential learning approach and also action research. And this is what I did as an academician at Sokoine University of Agriculture. That led into looking at what are the really main constraints in agriculture value chain. Why is Africa not growing? Why is the value chain not? Why we cannot even count the number of farmers who have transformed from small-scale subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture? We don't see. We cannot really say these are the numbers. They were small-scale agriculture, now they are commercial farmers. And we worked on technology first because we thought markets, of course, all this access trap that we talk about, access to finance, access to technology, access to knowledge, access to markets, access. And we have been talking about this for 60 years, and we are still not really accessing. And once we access finance, we find other barriers. And these barriers can be expensive, can be not really following the schedules of agriculture. There are a lot of other barriers after you have that access. And we have programs like guarantee funds and so forth that solve a problem of access. But once you get there, then you find other problems. And sometimes people fail to pay, and we become like all farmers are not worth receiving credit. And given the riskness of agriculture in agribusiness, definitely is another problem that we need to think about. Now, we started Sugeko after actually working towards trying to solve the market access problem, thinking that if we develop markets, if we do product development, if we access the technology that is right to produce certain products, then we may be able to solve the problem of markets. And as we started, we thought, let us support agribusiness startups, because we need to have as many startups as possible for businesses to grow, for businesses to start, because the failure rate for startups is very high. So if you don't develop enough startups, means you are not going to have enough numbers of businesses. And we decided that let us use knowledge-intensive youth who are graduated from agriculture, because they'll have the knowledge, and what they need is skills, access to technology, access to finance, and then there they go. And we said, okay, we need to make sure that we do this research, which is very expensive for most startups. They cannot do research. They think that there are definitely researchers are out there doing research for them, but this is not always the case. Researchers, especially I can say myself at the university, I'll be doing research so that I go up the ladder, become a professor, and stay as a professor. And that's the end of it. So all the assumptions like kind of failed when I was trying to do this research. I decided I'm going to do action research. I'm going to position a unit that will be working for specific agribusiness sector. And I chose fruits and vegetables. And we chose drying of fruits and vegetables, processing fruits and vegetables at the beginning. And try to say that once we have the technology set up, then we will have all these youth coming to this center and developing their businesses, being incubated, and then they go off, spin-offs, as many as possible, because there are so many that are not going to get employment after they graduate, even beyond 5 years of staying. So all those assumptions were in, and we thought, okay, we have made the run already. But at the end, we realized that it's not the technology, it's not the finance alone, but it's the human resource. What are the minds of our youth and our women in terms of putting their time and effort in developing agribusinesses? So we decided mindset transformation is very, very important. I hope that you are still hearing me. I will go very quickly in saying that as I developed Sugeko, we started 2011. We are going to be 10 years old by 8th of July, and we are going to have a week-long thing celebrating 10-year anniversary. We have developed certain tools that we like people to learn and know what we can do to develop agribusinesses. And just recently, which Agra also supported us, we inaugurated our Kizimba model, and we are saying that development intervention require a well-researched model for it to go. We have been remaining traditionally with certain models that probably is the weakest points we have, that we work without really research model. And action learning is very, very important. Flexibility is required. And most times when we have proposals, we cannot be flexible because we have to follow exactly what is in the proposal. But we are also saying that the lesson we learned is that we need some kind of flexibility. And when you are doing action research, you are part and parcel of the research, so you can make decisions, change things as things go. The markets are so dynamic. I don't know, 4 minutes is just too short for me, and I don't want to disrupt the program unless maybe there will be questions later. I would like to respond to those questions. Please go to www.sugeko.or.tz and you'll see our website and all the programs that we have for youth and what we have done so far. Thank you very much. I'm very delighted to learn about VALUE4HER. You'll be surprised that I'm very close to Vianney. Actually, he was my student, but I didn't know about this program until when I was invited to this session. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. I'd like to just point a few keynotes from the first two speakers. From Dr. Kapinga, what my takeaway was starting early, starting our young women early is very, very important. And it's not just about science, it's about making sure that we give them the business knowledge as well. That is inside and outside the classroom. And from Dr. Anna, of course, she's a wealth of knowledge. Thank you very much, Mama. And learning from you, my key takeaways are development intervention requires research for it to go, and we need to work with research plus action learning, and that's very, very important. We applaud you for what you do for young women and men as well, because we can't just say women without putting the men in the picture. So that parity is very, very important. Next speaker for us is Mboka Mwanitu from Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank. Mboka became TLDD Principle of Development, focusing on gender, youth, and nutrition in November 2020. Prior to joining, she was working with NMD Bank and the MD's Office, Food and Agribusiness Research, a bank advisory unit on agribusiness. One of the key footprints she has left with NMD is the passion she carries on nutrition, sensitive agriculture, women and youth. In this role, she managed to empower her colleagues in the bank on how inclusive business was her agenda. This led to making the bank known to the government of their support for food and nutrition security reforms through transforming agribusiness. Ms. Mboka, in 2019, coordinated the bank's first ever roundtable discussion on dairy sector investment in Tanzania, together with partners like Global Dairy Platform under the initiative Dairy Nourish Africa, Road Bank. From 2018, Mboka launched her own initiative called Lishe Yangu, a social enterprise enterprise supporting school-going children to understand about source of food, specifically extending knowledge of dietary diversity, enriching your plate with fruits and vegetables. She became one of the pioneers of bridging college students to provide education on homegrown school feeding programs, which granted her initiative to secure partnership with the SUA, GAIN, PANITA, TAMISEMI, TFNC on the school meals fortification pilot project in Kagera and Tanga for 30 schools in Tanzania in 2020. Prior to her roles in the banking industry, she has had a professional break to become a mother, where this role enriched her strongly on appreciating the role of women on the power of maternal nutrition and childcare. During this break, she decided to become a part-time consultant with the international and local firms, including USA, private sector engagement business skills, Trademark East Africa, where she helped in the capacity building of 500 Tanzanian women in cross-border trade, since South Africa and Market Access Tanzania. And between 2006 and 2015, Mboka facilitated and spearheaded several business enabling multi-stakeholder partnerships between public and private sector for projects such as dairy, cereal, and horticulture, which honored her to be awarded the African Woman in Agriculture and Research Award 2008 Leadership Fellowship. Appointed to be the first youngest board member of Agricultural Council of Tanzania from 2009 to 2010, and technical committee member for development of Tanzania livestock sector master plan 2011 and 2012. Mboka holds a master's degree in agriculture and applied economics sponsored by AERC Eastern and Southern African Collaborative Program in 2015 and a shared facilitation by University of Pretoria and Sokoine University, and first degree in food science and technology granted by SUA in 2005. Karibu sana Mboka. That's a beautiful profile. Would like to hear from you how this platform can be a connector or link between women and the market. And we'd also like to hear how we can explore what information the private sector players would need from women businesses that this platform, VALUE4HER, can facilitate for women, as well as your experiences. Karibu sana.
Good morning and good afternoon. I'm happy to be here, and I will commend the regional office and the country office for setting up this session. Coming from the one side, I would say Accra is a partner. We have been with Accra since 2018, where I recognize that through the partnership, we have been working in terms of seeing how we can harness women to access finance. So looking at this new in terms of creating a digital platform, I commend Agri as a key partner for change to bring up the value of a woman in agribusiness. And as we know, most of women, especially rural women, they cannot access these platforms physically. So probably a digital platform, I'm sure it will be developed in smartphone and off smartphone mode. They can access information, they can access facilitation programs. So with that short commendation, I think Agri is putting up something which will be very valuable. So just a brief to explain where do we come from as a bank in terms of facilitating access to finance. We as the Open Financial Institution is a bank that started with the vision from the government to increase financing to agriculture. And this is coming from the high level of the continental agenda, the EU and Malabo declaration, that 10% of the country's income or GDP agriculture. So, and I'm sure Agri at a high level facilitated in one way or another to policy dialogue and capacity building to make sure that different countries they are able or they're able to track the investment in agriculture. So for Tanzania, I'm proud to say TDB is a result of the initiative of the government to make sure that such an investment is viable and it's actually actionable, because it has been in talk, in discussion, but by 2015, the bank was established. So the bank is 5 years old. So just imagine like a baby of 5 years old, it's just growing, but we managed to catch up with the pushback and the drive that the sector has in terms of transformation. As a bank that has two main goals: to facilitate the country to be self-sufficient, and of course in terms of food security and nutrition. So we have a role to make sure that all Tanzanians are able to secure and also they consume safe and nutritious food. And again, at the continental level, we're also looking at the opportunity that is there in terms of the market to allow what we are producing to sell and produce for other East African countries and Africa. Our second goal is mainly to promote and support agricultural transformation. And this is one of the key roles to make sure that our subsistence agriculture is transforming into commercial agriculture. As we have seen throughout our development agenda as a mid-income country, we are transforming. So we also have to transform our sector. And agriculture is a key component into feeding into our industry. So we are here to support financing in different aspects. And briefly, I'll go to how we approach financing. So we have facilities or products which are short-term, medium, and long-term. But for rural women, I see that starting from 2015, short-term loans, which are mainly the inputs for fertilizer, seeds, and pesticides, they have been getting attention from smallholder agricultural farmers. And this is where we see that we can also increase our participation in terms of providing low cost or lower interest loans, which can facilitate the production. With the medium-term loans, we have been supporting farmers to have mechanized technologies like tractors. And this is where I want also to talk about how women can access our product, which is performance tractor loan, which is given out with one of the lowest interest rates. It is 9%. So it's one of the affirmative actions of the bank to make sure that women can access such kind of technology. We're talking about advancing women in agriculture. So from subsistence farming to more mechanized type of farming. So our material is very famous. It's very famous in terms of transforming agriculture, because we see this is where also women can take chance in advancing on what they are producing. With the long-term loans, these are more of investment loans. So we cover the strategic projects of the government, and also we see projects which are basically coming from companies and investment which are transforming the infrastructure, like silos or warehouses and machinery. For example, if someone wants to design an animal feed company, this is where the investment comes from. So it's a long-term loan, providing a sufficient amount of money that can be repaid over a long period from five years and above, or up to 15 years. So on the aspect of women, how do we bring in women as partners? For the bank, we are really looking at women as our key component or our key partner, because we say giving is a partnership. So women, given other speakers have spoken about the data, more than 40 to 50% of our economic participants in the labor market are women, and agriculture is actually pulling more women So the bank has developed or designed a gender policy since 2017, which has an implementation plan. And inside the implementation plan, we see that there is evolution in terms of staff body. We have now a director who is looking at policy in the government. She's a woman. And our credit department is led by a woman. So we see that that's a strategic decision by the bank in terms of looking how best we can harness financing to most of the agribusiness related women SMEs or women enterprise. So again, that's at leadership level with capacity building through our intervention, because we are development finance. We provide financial services and non-financial services. So we also have managed to build capacity of women, and this we have done throughout the time that the bank is established with the cooperative and organizations that we are financing. For example, AMCOS and corporate unions. When we provide loans, we make sure that they also get a package of non-financial service as training. So we've been training women at different levels, different zones, to make sure that they use financial facility to deliver what they are expecting, like raising their incomes from what they're farming, but they also have to learn different agricultural practices, the good agricultural practices, but again, they have to understand where the market is from what they produce. Another aspect on our gender policy implementation is the business development services. So we have in-house training for our business development officers, how they do showcase our products, how they interact with SMEs in terms of bridging their needs to what they require for the financing. And outside that, we build capacity with the partner financial institution, because one of our mandates is to provide smaller credit guarantee fund to smallholders. So we work with partner financial institutions, like commercial banks and microfinancial banks, to make sure that they can use this facility to provide loans to other smaller farmers. So given that TADB is not working as a transactional bank, having branches, so we are using partner financial institutions through our credit guarantee scheme to advance money and guarantee to farmers. So the likes of NNB, CRDB, these are banks that work all over the country. They have branches all over the country. So we think whatever we are providing to these banks can reach even up to the rural women, far as Singida or Dodoma or Kigoma. So for us, we see that the smaller credit guarantee scheme provides an avenue for more women to get financing, such as the matrekta loan, for example, or the input loan. And this is one way that we have seen through the establishment of the bank that we can scale up such kind of financing. But another vivid example of partnership that has come strongly is our partnership with Agri, which was under the fund agreement. I would like to say through my analysis, I've noticed that out of 11 SMEs that benefited from this agreement, 3 were women. And if you total up the amount of facilities that went to these 3 women as a long-term loan, it's about 2 billion. So you will see that having a partner can accelerate in terms of reach, support these women. And Agri can explain more on how this grant-based financing has leveraged to make sure that these women could get financing. Yeah, so somehow there's a here. So I was explaining about the partnership that we had established with Agri in terms of supporting or facilitating more financing. And the benefit of this resulted into financing women by having a grant-based loan, which had actually promoted the bank to finance or to extend financing of more than 2 billion, which is a long-term loan. And out of 11 SMEs, 3 were women who managed to access funds for their industrial investments, and again to access warehouses, and they make sure that they benefited from this financing. So I commend Agra for this platform, and I think for the bank, we are seeing it as the leverage of resources that we can access women more digitally, and it could be an avenue for a bank also to extend our information in terms of the product and the market access. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mocha. We see that when we have access to finance, definitely women can do great things. Giving 3 women 2 billion is definitely going to change a lot of lives, not just their own. And we do appreciate that the fact that TABD has incorporated a gender policy. To do that as a bank, as a financer, means that more women have access to finance, meaning more lives will change. So now I give a few minutes to our virtual participants to go ahead and ask our panelists questions. The burning questions that you have, comments, we welcome to give us your feedback as well. It's appreciated. Karibuni sana. Okay, you can also type in your questions. Let me read a few comments. I apologize for the technical glitches. I see a lot of people saying that they cannot hear us. We do understand that we are in this COVID era, so we're working with what we have. Good morning, I'm Selina Batuli and I work for VI Agroforestry EA, East Africa Desk. Thank you for the great initiative for women in agribusiness. Kindly clarify on how and whether the project will address the needs, concerns, and interests of young women in agriculture who are often left behind to contribution towards food production. Will the project address the socio-economic barriers for young women as well? Thank you. So that's a very good question, Selina. Over to Vianney to give us some feedback on that.
I think I'll take chance, because this is a women forum anyway. I'll take chance to invite Sabio first to give us some feedback on those questions, and then after Sabio we'll go to Vanessa, then we'll go back to the next round, because I think we are short of time. We need to finish the next round. Welcome, Sabio.
Thank you, Vianney. I actually had a lot of difficulties hearing the question. So if you're able to just quickly go over, I had bits of it, but I didn't hear all of it.
Okay. So kindly clarify on how and whether the project will address the needs, concerns, and interests of young women in agriculture who are often left behind in agriculture production, despite their significant contribution towards food production. Will the project address the socio-economic barriers for young women as well?
Ah, okay. All right. I get it. Actually, I saw the question already on the Q&A, and I think I responded to it. So just broadly, yes, this project is addressing women of all ages. Of course, younger women are part of it. Initially, we did make reference to a mentorship program that we are going to start to help younger females get into businesses, so basically start businesses, but also be linked to established women businesses for mentorship and support. The whole VALUE4HER program and platform is essentially to create the necessary support around women to start and to grow and to nurture their businesses. So for younger females who are watching us today, I would say this is a program for you, as it is also for the older women. And feel free to come on board. We are soon going to roll out this mentorship program that I'm talking about. And certainly this is meant for you. So, yeah, and yes, of course, they address the socioeconomic barriers. This is why this program exists, to really enable women access what they need to start business and to nurture their businesses and to grow their businesses beyond what they are doing at the moment. So this is really what I can say for now.
Thank you very much, Sabir. We also have one attendant who says that her name is Janet, 26, and a farmer from Kenya, Karibu sana. She says she loves the conversation and she'd love to be part of this community to grow as a woman and youth in her community. Karibu sana, Janet. Geographics is asking, what is the impact, or what impact does the women-led enterprises have in advancing the male gender? Are there any statistics to establish truth on your answers? We also have Michael Jerry, who says, thank you so much for the excellent presentations and sharing of good practices, wonderful initiatives in Tanzania, and he's looking forward to continuing collaboration and partnership on economic empowerment of women, part of the Hodem Adu UN Women Tanzania. Thank you very much, UN Women. For Sugeko, Priska is asking, what efforts do you take to reach far regions like Kigoma with your good services and products to reach women and youth? This is Priska from Kigoma. And I think those are it.
Hello. Sorry, I think there's a bit of a challenge with the sound. But if I hear you correctly, there was a question on what the impact of the program is on the male gender. So is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me respond to that quickly. So this program is, of course, a program targeting women, but it is in no way aiming to, to subordinate any group. Essentially, what you're doing, and those of us who are in this kind of programming, we know that there's need to focus on groups that are underserved, groups that are underrepresented, groups that are not benefiting effectively from the current initiatives and the current transformation that we are facilitating. At the moment, these groups are women, they are young people, they are people who are marginalized on the fringes. So this is why this is special focus. And we do know and we believe that the transformation for equitable agriculture transformation and equitable livelihoods is not complete without male participation and without convincing the men also to support and to come along with the women as they journey towards this transformation. So again, my response to that, to the question is, yes, we have a special focus on women because we have to level the playing field. At the moment, it isn't, and we all recognize that. But yes, we are not leaving the male behind because indeed our broader programming at Agri is addressing male farmers, female farmers, young farmers, and all the people that are within the agriculture sector. Thank you.
You can rest assured that we're not leaving with the men behind. We're just giving women and leveling the playing field, as you have just said. Asante sana. So for Sugeko, what efforts do you take to reach far regions like Kigoma, Mama?
Okay, I've read the question from the from Q&A. I wanted to answer it. Sugeko has more than 1,000 members. Most of the members join as their students when they are at Sokoine University of Agriculture, but also when they come to our training programs, and some when they find the website and they call us and try to understand what we are doing, we talk to them. We believe that we have youth all over the country. As we went around 7 agroecological zones with the Ministry of Agriculture last year, we met a lot of our members in almost all the regions that we went, and they were demonstrating what they've done with our pat on the back. Some of them, we did not really support them directly with any finances, but we supported them with knowledge, information, and all these contacts and networking. And some of them, of course, attended, even in Kigoma, we have people who went, more than 5 who went to Israel for internship, 1-year program attachment in Israel farms, and they are back in Kigoma. And I know one of them who also went to US after the Israel program, and he is having businesses in Kigoma, although he's not back in the country yet. And I believe that Kigoma is one of those regions that they thought they're too far and they wanted to start a Kigoma chapter. And we allowed them to, as long as they find like 10 people can find the Sugeko Kigoma chapter. So if you need contact for those who are members of Sugeko and they have benefited from our contact information for Kigoma youth. Okay, I think hello? Do you hear me?
Yes.
I've completed answering the question about Kigoma region.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the panel discussions. The second part of the panelists who are women entrepreneurs. They constitute women networks and association leaders. We invite the panelists to share their insights on expanding the marketplace for women through strong networks and the necessary support they need as women from the relevant stakeholders. Our speakers today will be Elizabeth Swai, founder of AKM Glitters Company Limited, myself, Fatma Fernandez from Queenswood Group Limited, Hadija Jabir from Agri Business Solution, Josephine Mingi from Brighton, Brigitta Faustin from Agri, Tanzania, Rose Uriel from Progress Center, and we have Donald Mzamba from Agri. So I'll start with Elizabeth Swai. Ms. Elizabeth Swai is the founder of AKM Glitters Company Limited, dealing with integrated poultry business, managing 3 Kuroya breeder farms, hatchery, and a modern feed mill. The company also delivers its services into 35 regions. To date, 1.2 million farmers are direct beneficiaries through the AKM Glitters company, 460 franchisees with unique franchising model and providing extension services. AKM Glitters hires more than 78 professionals, and Elizabeth has worked for 15 years with the UNHCR and UNWFP Prior to venturing into poultry business, she has an academic qualification in human development and entrepreneurship. Her passion as a social entrepreneur is inclusive development that touches the lives of the society, in particular women and youth. Her work has enabled thousands to access employment, food, nutrition through poultry keeping. Elizabeth, as a leading woman in the poultry industry in Tanzania, has received various awards, including Change Driver Award, Impact Award, Women of Achievement in Agribusiness Award, Malkia wa Nguvu 2019 Award, 2019 Agriculture Award, and Top 100 Medium Companies Award. She has featured in the book of the best women entrepreneurs of Africa as a role model to watch. Her love for her work is her personal drive towards satisfaction of the ones that she has. Ms. Wai is the founder, member of African Agribusiness Academy, Africa Women in Agribusiness, a member of Professional Poultry Association, Feed Mill Association, and a chair of Poultry Breeder Association, and the executive board member of Tanzania Business Council representing livestock in Tanzania. Karibu sana, Elizabeth. Please share your insights. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Agri. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Agri and the team for this opportunity. I want to speak today. I'm not a very good protocol speaker, so I'm going to go straight to the speaking. As a woman, I think I'm much more interested with my own history, where I came from. Being raised in a village and being a little struggling through difference in my life, I tend to also think and grow with other women who also are living in the conditions that I also live before. I started taking business back in 2006, and I developed a model. A model is very inclusive, and it addresses, it includes 70% of women participation, and the rest is male participation in the form of family units. Being an entrepreneur, I decided to learn more about entrepreneurship and how I could develop integrated model. So Agent Business literally is an integrated model company. We are investing among the value chains of poultry with a breed that is adaptable for rural settings, which is a product breed, XD. We have developed a franchise model because we wanted the women to get activities that are more profitable and feasible investment, because as poultry has a lot of investments along the value chain. So we have to invest in feeding operations, we have to invest in parent stock farms management, we also have to invest on hatchery, which produces the chips that we supply to our smallholder farmers, our franchisees, and our poultry keepers. So it's a lot of investments now. In developing the market, we need to develop an offtake program that will need another investment on our chicken meat processing and also egg processing, so that we can manage the post-harvest losses on poultry. But as a livestock company, we also work with on a livestock segment for poultry, but we also work for agriculture, because our feeding operation needs purchases of grains from smallholder farmers, maize, sorghum, soya, sunflower, and all of these are being cultivated by our small farmers. So we are also developing that chain to be able to feed the feeding operations. The farmers introduction. Last year we had 75 professionals employed in our organization, but at the moment we are 88. We have 88 employees who are fixed contracted and then professionals. We have hired more than 20 veterinarians who are doing also extension services, which is one of our critical area that we need to address our technical support to farmers. But as we are growing the company, we are also growing the smallholder farmers. We are now, as part of our last December, we have reached to almost 1.2 smallholder farmers who are being serviced by our distributors, our franchises. We have about 480. And the target for these franchises, every franchise is targeted to set 500 smallholder farmers. So what the franchises are doing trading directly with the company, receiving all farm inputs from day old chicks, vaccines, drugs, feed, equipment like drinkers and feeders, so that they don't have to answer to eligible farm inputs. So the company takes that responsibility to deliver all over Tanzania. We are working on 20 regions and we are planning to relocate to Zanzibar. At the moment, we are discussing with the Minister of Trade in Zanzibar to relocate the program into Pema and Unguja. As Dr. Tim says, that agriculture is not only science. But for me, as an entrepreneur in the I feel like one of the challenges for smallholder farmers and for the company is that science, because we need technical expertise. That's why the company has invested so much in technical expertise, which is very expensive in terms of salvation and the compliances that goes with that kind of deployment. In agriculture or livestock, there's so much gaps that we need to address. But I would want to speak to on mindset. I think growth, or how to grow, or how to implement successfully these types of projects, women tend to really work on their mindset. Because the minds of women are very they're very strong, but they really need to be mentored. They need to receive guidelines to be able to get that self-awareness. Once you have a self-awareness, you will have a vision and you stand for that vision, but that will only work on your mindset. Feeling sorry for ourselves, I think, will not help much. We really need to be strong. We really need to understand how agriculture works. We need to learn and get the information on how agriculture programs work, the scientific parts, the business parts. All these are the gaps that we really need to understand well. Because once we understand the technical part, we'll be able to transform that into business part, and that will make a sense of investment. On the side of the government and donor well, or financiers, the most important thing is to have a common investment for infrastructure to support the agri-industrialization as well as the marketing of the women's products. This could be agri-hubs, it could be development of markets, establishing shops for selling women products, looking at the gaps that would allow women to expand into investments, like adding values into their products. The think of cold storage, introducing of processing to be able to process and trade with quality products and positioning them to the market. And the women can be those off-takers who will put the products into the market. As it was it was Judith of USA who spoke about how women can add value into agri products and place them properly into the market as an exit strategy for the product. But that will allow also financiers to be able to see the value of the work and then put in money from the production, value addition, aggregation, and market linkages. That's very important. Now, when we are talking about agri-industrialization, I think there's a need for government and going into partnership with the donors and financiers to develop these infrastructures that will be very useful for the market of the products of the women, but also the issue of land accessibility and ownership. The women must own this land to be able to produce at commercial level and add value to that to the product. The reason I'm suggesting that women should be organized and access land because usually investment depends on the land that the women have. When we are working together with women are working individually, at the end of the day, there will be a need of development of their investment of the investment that are not global and that needs land. So with all these programs, I think, for example, for poultry, what we are thinking as a company, to start thinking of establishing a village for poultry, for example, and the land. And investments on our processing will need a lot of input into that industry. Now, if we don't have the quality production of poultry, that investment on our meat processing will not be feasible. So we need to invest physically, but again, we also need to make sure that the investment is sustainable by receiving quality products, and so that when we position our products in the market, there won't be a breakdown of the supply. For example, at the moment we are listening through these discussions that there's a lot of need of the export of meat, for example, into Saudi Arabia. But if you ask Tanzania at the moment whether we have that capacity to export to Saudi Arabia, we can't export because we don't have the quality for export. That means there must be a trend that we should look at the land investments together and have we need to position our country into the market segmentation of the world as well. As Africa, I think we receive a lot of products from other countries, but I don't see why we should not be able to produce our own products and that quality that will be appreciated by other countries as well. So in agro-industrialization, I think that is very critical for us to look at. When I'm talking about financing for women need to know the language of investment. And most of the women do not have that capacity. But then I think they need a lot of preparedness for that investment. They need to be trained. They need to be coached. They need to be prepared for the questions and the needs of the investors. That is one of the issues that I'm also facing as a woman searching for financing. We need to really look at the gaps and understand the models that are inclusive before making that decision to whether or not to finance this woman or not. I think sometimes it's better for a partnership between financing organizations to partner with the woman and experience the challenges that the woman is having. Some of the challenges that we are facing as women are not understandable by the bankers because they are not in the field. They don't understand exactly what is happening in the field. And that is a challenge because the know-how of the financiers may not be the know-how or the reality of what is happening in the field. So that is a gap that I'm looking. So as women, and all as companies that are working with women, we need to guide, we need to mentor, we need to train, to coach them, to understand what is the road for investment, how is it, what are the things, how should they prepare mentally. So that one cannot be done. All what I'm saying cannot be done if we don't have predictable laws, procedures, regulations. Now, I think I will end up there. If there's any question, I'll be ready to take up. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Sorry, if you allow me to talk, the audio is really, really bad. It was very hard to hear, Elizabeth. If you can change that. Organizers, please. Did you hear me?
Can we work on
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much clear? Okay. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for that presentation on AKM data. One of the key takeaways is the change of mindset for women is very, very important. And the second thing is having government partnering with donors and development partners throughout the process so that we can have predictable laws and procedures and regulations that support women growth and women businesses. Our next speaker would be Hadija Jabir. She's the Managing Director of Agri Business Solutions. A short introduction of Ms. Jabir. She's a farmer committed to making agricultural production a sustainable and profitable business through empowering smallholder farmers by adapting to global business best practices of horticultural value chain. Ms. Jabir comes from an accounting background with over 10 years experience in business. This experience and background gave her the grounding to found Agri Business Solutions 5 years ago. Agri is a horticultural company that specializes in growing, processing, and marketing fruits. This is French beans, avocados, bananas, snow peas, sugar snap, and baby corn for both local and international markets. Currently, Gabri's business solution exports to Netherlands and United Kingdom. Gabri Business Solution employs 35 permanent employees with over 200 temporary workers every week. 90% of this being women. In a bid to help the community around her, Ms. Jabir has worked with more than 400 farmers, a group of outgrowers, small-scale holder farmers in Iringa Rural, Mufindi, Kilolo, and in the Iringa region. The company provides agronomic support to farmers and teaches them how to grow produce to international standards. This is aimed at improving business economics and profitability across the supply chain. Apart from running an export company, Ms. Jabir also founded Agri Limited, a company which equips small and medium enterprises with techniques to grow their businesses. She offers consultation services and developing agri-tech products. Ms. Jabir is a holder of multiple awards and nominations. She's the recipient of 2018 Women's Awards of Excellence in the Agribusiness sector. Among winners on Invest to Impact Award 2019, she's also a finalist for EMPRE Tech Women in Business 2020, Fit the Future, Grow We Award 2021, Super Women 2021. Hadija is also an International Visitors Leadership Program alumni. Ms. Jabir serves as a board member of FFF and a board member of RLabs, member of Ifakara Innovation Hub, executive committee and member of Strategic Steering Committee for African Women Leaders Network, Tanzania chapter. So Ms. Jabir, please share your pain points in building your business and what triggered your turning point in ensuring that agribusiness solution is what it is right now. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you very much. I am so happy to be invited in this discussion, but also I am happy to see Elizabeth, Vanessa from Agri. You mentioned about mentorship, and I am happy to say Elizabeth Swai has been my mentor. She has been doing a lot to make sure I am succeeding in agribusiness. Yeah, so my story has no difference from the way many young people are starting in agribusiness, especially in Tanzania and Africa in particular. And maybe I can just share a little bit of how we started, and maybe it will relate to many young people out there who are trying to make it in agribusiness. We started on year 2016. We started with no resources. We only had literal savings. And I remember I was at a point where we had no collaterals, which could have maybe enabled us to access funding from financial institutions. I remember I used to knock doors and no one was interested. I really don't blame financial institutions because they're also in business, and actually, if you cannot meet their conditions, they won't be able to fund what you're doing. So we started with a very small farm, and we were growing vegetables and supplying in Dar. We did that for 2 years until 2018, when we saw a very huge opportunity on export of vegetables and fruits. And at that time, I was already a member of TAHA, but also SAGOT saw what we are doing, and they used it to introduce us to different partners. And at that particular moment, USAID also saw what we are doing. I was so happy to see the presentation which was given by Judith from USAID, because it was among USAID was among organizations which supported us when we were starting. And through their support, we were able to build asset portfolio, which later on enabled us to go and access funding from financial institutions. So from 2018, we went to export market. And when we approached that market, we learned the market requires volume, but also the market requires consistency in supply. And actually, the market does not care whether you are a young person or you are a woman. And that's where we saw there was a need for us to start engaging smallholder farmers. So we were training farmers, we were giving them agronomic support to make sure they are growing vegetables which meet export standards. And then we were buying from them and then export to European countries. We have done that until now. And of course, in the local market, we are also working with the smallholder farmers in banana value chain. And what we are doing is buying their bananas, adding value by ripening bananas in a modern way, but also distributing these bananas to food vendors. But if I look at my story, where we are coming from and what we have done so far, I can speak of two challenges, two things which I look at as challenges which are not only facing us, but also facing many people who are in agribusiness, especially smallholder farmers. And the very first challenge for me is financing. I know if you support a farmer, if you help a farmer to access funding, they are able to solve many other challenges which they are facing. For example, I mentioned we are working with smallholder farmers, and we are always presenting to them this opportunity of becoming our outgrowers. We want them to have access to the market which we already have. But a farmer will tell you, yes, I want to take that opportunity, but unfortunately, I don't have enough resources which can enable me to maybe grow in accordance to your standards, because when you are exporting, actually you need to be very careful with food safety. So the opportunity is there, but they can't capture it because they don't have capacity, they don't have enough resources which can enable them to do that. So I feel like if we have customized the products which can help farmers to be able to grow these vegetables and fruits, but also other products, we can solve many of their challenges in their activities. The second challenge, which I think is there, and the solution to it may be because of what we have been doing, it is marketing. And for me, I look at marketing not as a challenge. If you look at the population numbers, the way population is increasing, but also if you look at the problem of food insecurity, you can tell 100% that people are there and people need food. But what is lacking most of the time is market information. I feel like farmers do not understand what the market needs. And at the same time, our customers do not understand what farmers have, but also farmers are not able to meet the standards which are required by the market. Through our activities, we have been getting lots of orders from customers. And normally we tell our farmers, let's say, to grow French beans. But if you look at the rejection level, it's really high because farmers cannot adhere to those standards. And if we even look at the local market, you'll see there are times when people have produce, but they do not meet market standards. So I feel like if we solve this problem of market information and helping farmers to get technical know-how, we will be able to solve their challenges, we'll be able to help them succeed. And maybe if I go back a little bit, I would really encourage young people who are starting in agribusiness to join in these membership organizations, the likes of TAHA, the likes of SAGOT, and many other organizations, because these organizations can help them, can brand them, can introduce them to different partners who can help them to solve their challenges, like what they did it to us as a company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khadija. And now we will go to our third speaker, who is Josephine Mingi from Brighton. A short introduction on Josephine is she's the founder of Brighton and an experienced market development specialist who has worked across Kenya, Tanzania, and Malawi for international organizations, managing program funded by USAID, Agri, Rockefeller, WFP, AFAP, and Comic Relief. She has more than 20 years of experience managing non-profit organizations, both international and national, managing and facilitating agricultural development projects through system analysis, designing and overseeing socioeconomic studies for projects, and engaging in agricultural development programs that have a significant impact on smallholder farmers' incomes and livelihood. In Tanzania, Josephine successfully headed the CNFA, a US-based international nonprofit organization, and later founded Brighton, building rural income through entrepreneurship, a nonprofit organization that works to increase income and improve livelihoods by empowering rural agribusinesses. Josephine has a master's of business administration in finance and a bachelor in agribusiness and postgraduate diploma in project management. Josephine, thank you very much for joining us today. Please highlight to us what challenges you face in reaching markets and what you think is difficult. What are the pain points in building your nonprofit organization, and how you can reach more women in agribusiness. And I also like to mention that Josephine was and is my mentor in this sector. Karibu sana, Josephine.
Asante, thank you. I hope you can hear me. Just to quickly go through, I will talk about both building smallholder farmers and building the organization, and just talk about some of the things that I went through as an individual. we started on a prayer. The decision to start was based on the fact that I had worked in development, and one of the problems I had was that smallholders never made money. We never got to a point where we had farmers making money. And I kept asking, why are these farmer organizations not behaving like businesses? And what is it that is different? And so that's how we started on a prayer. We were lucky. And I'd like to thank all the speakers that spoke, and especially Vanessa, who was able to give us the 7 steps. As I looked at the notes that I had put together, I realized that majority of what you covered was what we went through. So the initial challenge I had was self-belief. First, not just to believing in myself. That's the first challenge. You needed to believe in yourself to move to the next step. And I know Hadija, we did have time to sit, and I think we spoke for 3 hours, just understanding how did the business start? How did we get to where we are? And I like the fact that when I look at these women, the beginning is believing in yourself. And then that's where the mindset change comes in. Once you believe in yourself, then you realize there are opportunities to be found. But the other thing is mentorship, finding that one person who is able to direct you and to guide you where to go. Having a group of people that you're always able to call and ask, how do I get here? How do I go here? And that is quite critical. So I know this covers for most of the businesses. And then there's another thing that we had a discussion about with my friends is the issue of women. One of the HR managers that I was talking to some time ago kept saying that she has women in the office where they get promotions and they refuse the promotions because of their husbands. We need to reach a point where we are walking the journey together with the family. It's not so much as we promote the woman, remember we also need to work with the family. And I think that was a question that was answered, that people don't want the promotion. They say, give me the work, do not promote me, do not give me the title. And I think in women in agriculture, I think that's also one of the other things. I've also been in a situation where, and I think the beginning of one of our projects with Agri was where we started to do, farmers began to get loans, and women take risks because they are in farm organizations. So they got in and they got their loans through the farm organizations, and they planted and they started making money. And what was interesting was that the young people we had in the field as field officers actually had to do marriage reconciliations. They had to sit with the husband and the wife to kind of put these people together because there was disputes on inputs. What do you call this? You're doing better than I'm doing. And so we needed to sit down and do the issues of gender. Initially, the project didn't look at that, but it's something that we realized that it's an important thing to do, that the family needs to go together. The issue of network, and I think Hadija put it very well, the togetherness, membership organizations, who do you know, where do you join? Just recently, I joined the Tanzania Women Chamber of Commerce. It's an opportunity and met a lot of women doing business. So I'm not only a consultant, but I'm also a business person. And one of the things I use is the learnings that I have as I move along to be able to help the farmers that we are working with, the women that we are working with, to grow. So the network that you have, the people that you know, the people like Fatma Fernandez, she's done brilliantly in her business. She started as a startup. Right now, where she is, she's up there. And just thinking about it, that this is about the networks she had. She's a very good networker. She went around, she talked to everybody and was able to meet people. So that confidence, who gives you that confidence? We need to find, I believe VALUE4HER is a platform that will help build that togetherness and push us forward to be able to reference each other, even if we don't know each other. And then the continuous learning. I spend so much time reading, learning, just asking people questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? I think that's the biggest issue, the continuous learning. Where do people get that opportunity to learn continuously? Because those opportunities are not there. If you don't have access to the internet, if you're a farmer who's never really gone to school, where do you get the continuous learning? Yes, there's the projects. Are there systems you can actually put in place like Sugeko? Systems you can put in place that people have a place they can reference and continuously learn. When I was young, I remember we would go to the library and it was something, but of late, I realized that people don't do that anymore. We have internet. But how do we make sure that the rural community, the young ladies and the women themselves, because remember, these opportunities for women are coming now. People in their 40s did not have these opportunities. And most of the opportunities out there are looking at young women. But if you look at it, the women in their 40s and 45 did not get those opportunities. And they begin to see that the opportunities are there, but they're also locked out. So we need to be able to also focus on the age groups, sort of include a higher age group in terms of women. If you look at, what do you call this? The youth age group in Tanzania, we go up to 35 years, which is fantastic, yeah? But given the fact that women have been disadvantaged for many years, I think the age group needs to go up a bit higher to be able to incorporate those people who realize there's opportunities and they can grow. And then issues of business acumen. As you go forward, you realize that it's not about what you studied. It's about being able to get a sense of the business, the information coming through. Being able to look at your financials and being able to translate them into numbers. And I keep saying, accounts, money has nothing to do with maths. It's money. If you can add 2 shillings and double it, it's 4. It's how do we teach people simply to manage their books without necessarily looking and saying, we want a financial statement, a business plan written and bulked. How do we ensure that this young women and women themselves are able to get? So for me, that was the issue. And I looked at what was the easiest way for me to learn, simply to be able to pick up those little tips to be able to run this institution. And then role models. I'd like to talk about role models. It is very hard to find women role models who are reachable. When the president, Her Excellency Samia Hassan, came on board, I was like, it was the first time I thought to myself and said, I mean, look at this, she's now the president. I mean, this is fantastic. If me, at the age that I am actually able to get motivated, we need to have role models, maybe have more visual role models in the villages, have more people actually moving around talking about how they started, people like Khadija talking and encouraging. I know it's not part of the business and it takes a lot of time, but how do we get those messages out there to give people that confidence? And then for me, my thinking is that for us to reach scale, we need to remove a lot more barriers. Let me talk about business. You want to go and borrow. I remember in 2000, I wanted to start a business a few years back. And when I went to the bank, the first thing I got asked was, where is your collateral? I said, here it is. And then they asked, can you have your husband sign off on your loan? And I was like, oops. And that was the first time. I never went back. But when I went back recently, the issue of collateral is quite huge. And it's not come out. Is there a way we can, is there something that can be built as we discuss this and have these development partners? Is there a way we can build a system that eases the whole process of access to finance? There is really no money for startups. Once they've started up, they're keeping their records. The first thing you ask is, what is your turnover? How much record keeping do you even know? Because that is not there. So if you look at the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, I realize there are opportunities to learn their trainings. How many more of those can be there? How many, how do we get the agriculture to have a Chamber of Commerce or a system that can actually access those services? We use a WhatsApp group, but how many women have WhatsApp groups, have access to the phone to be able to do WhatsApp? So those are the things I was looking at. So for me, my lessons learned, and things that I think, so those were my challenges and those are the things I went through. But the other thing I realized was we are brought up with a certain, and I say in Africa, we are basically brought up with a certain thinking that women should and should not do certain things. And that thinking needs to change. You need to begin with changing it yourself. How do we access that system to understand that? And I know we've been talking about STEM and young women in science, but just that mindset that I can actually run a business. And I want to give an example of a farmer. I think I have 2 farmers I can talk about. Neema in Wagingombe district, she's a secretary of Hamdole, AMCOS, which I'm a patron, and Josephine, and they're all officials. When we started with them, I just remember that when we call for a village meeting or for the farmer group meeting, they would sit far away and nobody would talk. So basically we'd have meetings, we'd talk about the projects, and the women wouldn't speak. And so part of it was, why don't the women speak? And when we sat with them, they said, we don't think we know. And so we started a process where just having conversations between myself and them, and I asked them, how is it I'm able to actually wake up and speak? There's no difference, we are all women. And that process today, Neema is confidently running the Hamdole. They're able, and Josephine, they're able to keep accounts of the Hamdole AMCOs. It's a cooperative, which is doing very well. It was #1 in cooperatives in Jombe area. And they're actually running the business. They understand the business concepts, despite them never having gone to school, just being exposed to mentoring and coaching, because it's not so much about the training. Once you've trained and you leave, you need to do the mentoring, the hand-holding. How do we get the hand-holding happening all along? And then business planning. I think this is one of also the biggest barriers for small businesses. How do you get your business plan done? Is there a template? Are there easy templates that someone can put together that give you all that information? I remember a project that we actually did with Agri some years back when I was working for an international organization, CNFA. And one of the things we did was that agro dealers, after looking at the education that they had, we realized that they didn't have, They didn't have the skills and the knowledge to be able to do a business plan. So templates were developed and the bank was able to pick up information and make assessments based on the templates that were filled out. And there were people to help them do those templates. So that's the other thing. Opportunities for women to run, we've done the VBA model and the commission-based. And what we found out is that it's not so much about the working capital, but the linkages. If you have proper linkages, the support, because you start slowly. You have a bit of money you put in, but someone else is able to give you that support and push it forward. That has worked very well to the extent that businesses within 2-3 years are sustainable. But what happens beyond, the business has expanded, you've been running it individually, and you start to hire. What happens? How do we support these businesses to be able to remain and not die? Because these businesses, once they start up, they run very well, and then the business expands. What happens? Beyond 1,000 farmers, beyond 2,000 farmers, you have the threshing business, you have staff, you have HR issues. How do we support these people to be able to work, to do?
Thank you,
Yes.
John.
Let me say one more thing. Non-profit organizations, most of them do not get support. And when you look at them, especially now during this COVID thing, but you also look at them, you realize that non-profit organizations should actually run as businesses. And I'm glad to hear that USAID has support and build the capacity of non-profit organizations. For us, our capacity was built by Agri, but there's continuous learning that you need to continue to build. So there's non-profit organizations that run as businesses, but there's also profit organizations that run as businesses as well. And then there's the farmer organizations that run at different levels that need different support. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. So our next speaker, Brigitta Faustin. She's a young entrepreneur who has founded Agri Tanzania. Karibu, Brigitta.
Asante sana, and thank you for this opportunity. My talk today will base more on my experience on building Agri and the challenges that I have been facing. And I'm glad to see Dr. Sophia here today from ASA, because the challenge that I have been facing is around seeds, and she comes from the seeds company. So the biggest challenge that I have been facing my microphone over there. Okay. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. And my talk today will base more on my experience on building Agri and the challenges that I've been facing. And I'm so happy to see Dr. Sophia here with us this morning. Yes, still morning, yes. because the biggest challenge that I'm facing is around seeds, and she's coming from the seeds company. So the biggest challenge that I've been facing, as I said, is the shortage supply of raw materials from our farmers. And when I say raw materials, I mean sunflower seeds. So most of our farmers, they're using the local breed variety, the OPV, because it is cheap compared to the hybrid variety. I think it stands around 3,500 for the local breed variety, and it's around 35,000 for the hybrid variety. But my concern is not on the either local breed variety or the hybrid variety. My concern is on how our farmers are using these seeds. Most of our farmers are smallholder farmers, and they are poor. They can't afford to, buy new seeds every season. So they keep on reusing the seeds 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And this is the biggest challenge because as they are using it, it leads to low yield. And low yield, it's a loss to a farmer and a loss to a processor as well. But the second challenge is when they're using the seeds, it's low oil content. Again, another big loss to a processor. So in a farm, let's say, they can get around 8 bags to 16 bags. They're ending up to get 4 to 8 bags because of the reuse of the seeds. And that is almost half of it, a big loss. I can give out an example, one example where we can all here resonate, and our viewers online as well. The current challenge of cooking oil in the market is not because we don't have enough processors. It's not because we don't have enough machines. In fact, we have around 806 processors across the country. But as I'm speaking right now, only 5% are operational. 95%, they are not operating. And if you ask all of them, what is the challenge? They will tell you no raw materials, no seeds. So we've been investing too much in building companies, in machines, but we have forgotten to invest in a core problem, that is investment in seeds company. So I understand that the government have put tariffs on importation of cooking oil. That will encourage local production. That stands 35% for the refined oil and 25% for the crude oil. But is that the right solution for the current challenge that we are facing? In my humble opinion, I would say no. Please don't quote me. I have learned from few companies that they still have resources to import cooking oil. They are complaining that the tariff is too high for them. So what do you think will be the next step? They will fail to comply and they will close their businesses. And that means the government will incur more costs and they'll have to spend more on importation of cooking oil. So you're not solving the problem there, you have created another problem. Currently we are spending more than 150 million US dollar to import cooking oil. But if we are not solving the right problem, that is investment in seeds, we are going even to spend more than what we're spending now. So my solution on this challenge, on how I see and based on my experience, is not the market-led approach kind of challenge. It's the value chain approach kind of a challenge, where the private sector and the government come together and see how best we can invest, we can channel our investment into seed companies, into ASA and other seeds companies on production and distribution of seeds, and encourage more farmers, to grow sunflowers. And how are we going to encourage them? For the local breed variety, for example, we are spending, the farmers, they are spending 3,500, and they will need at least 2 bags or 3 bags, that is 10,000 to grow an acre. That is too expensive for a farmer in Masasi. That is too expensive for a farmer in Kibaigo. If we can subsidize these seeds to at least 1,000 That is, it will require farmers to spend only 3,000 to grow an acre. And for that matter, we'll have more farmers, participating in growing sunflowers. We'll have enough raw materials, and the government will spend less in importation of cooking oil. So it's going to be a win-win kind of approach. For the farmers, they will earn more. For the processors like Agri, will have, constant supply of raw materials all year round. And for the government as well, they will spend less, or they will not need to spend at all on importation of cooking oil. Will be self-sufficient. So on the second part of the question, if I got it right, why is it hard to finance women-led companies or female-led companies? I always say this: investment knows no gender. If I'm a financier and I want to give you, or if I'm giving you my money to invest in machines, to invest in warehouses, etc., what I need is a return of investment back with the profit within the required period of time. That's what they will demand. And even if I'm giving you in terms of grant, if that's a grant that I'm giving you, I expect it to be sustainable. I'll not expect you to come back to me, next time asking for money, and you tell me you don't account for what I've given you. So how much for a female entrepreneur has studied her market, has studied her supply chain, how much she has positioned herself to be competitive in the market? That is up for entrepreneur to answer. And same applies to the customers. Why are they not buying from the female-led companies? Again, very few of our customers, they will buy because they know Aubrey, they know Brigitte. Very few of our customers will buy because there is a female-led narrative behind the brand. A typical African consumer will buy because your product is cheap. They will buy because your product has a certain quality different with other products in the market. Again, they will buy because your product is accessible. When I open my gate at home to the mango shop over there, then I will get the product that I want. But they will buy because your product is consistent. That means it's available in the market from January to December. So that is the kind of knowledge gap that most of entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, they are lacking. And if we want to solve that problem, we have to start on filling that knowledge gap, for female entrepreneurs to be competitive. And again, compared to men, when they start their, businesses, or when they are growing their businesses. So thank you so much, and I would like to get here. Asante sana. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Brigitte. Those are very beautiful key takeaway notes. And I like the fact that you said investment knows no gender, and I totally agree with that. Now we'll move to Rose Urion. Rose is a holder of a bachelor's degree in business administration and a founder of Process Radio company. She's an award-winning visualist having a profound experience in agriculture. I'd like to just let you be the one speaking of your profile. Please join us here on the podium. Karibu sana.
Nitaongea Kiswahili na mwisho nitaeleza kwa nini nimeongea Kiswahili kwenye mkutano huu mkubwa na muhimu unaweza kusaidia wanawake wakulima. Naitwa Rose Urion, kama nimeeleza, ni mkurugenzi mtendaji wa kampuni ya Radio Progress Center, unajihusisha na zao la muhogo. Nilianza zao la muhogo miaka 8 iliyopita. Wakati wote kama nchi ilikuwa haijatangazwa kama zao la kibiashara, kulikuwa na changamoto kubwa. Nilijaribu kusoma muhogo, zao la muhogo kuanzia ngazi za serikali mpaka wakulima wa chini, tukagundua kwamba kuna matatizo mengi. Kupitia hayo tuliamua kuanzisha kampeni ya Cassava for Life. Kampeni ambayo ilikuwa na malengo makuu 5. Kwanza, kueleza umuhimu wa zao la muhogo kwa chakula lakini pia kwa biashara, kuonyesha faida zilizopo, pili, kusaidiana na serikali kuanzisha association, umoja ambao utasaidia kusukuma masuala ya biashara, lakini pia kuwakutanisha wadau wote, stakeholders, ambao kwa pamoja kwa kushirikiana tutaweza kusukuma zao la muhogo. Tunashukuru mwaka 2017 serikali kupitia waziri mkuu ilitangaza zao la muhogo kama zao la kibiashara. Hivyo mwaka 2019 tulianzisha kampeni ya Cassava for Life. Kampeni tuliyoanzisha kwa ugumu sana kwa sababu hakuna aliyekuwa anaelewa zao la muhogo kama linaweza kuwa biashara na likaleta faida. Lakini tunashukuru kwa kushirikiana na wadau tofauti ikiwepo Agri, tuliweza kuzindua kampeni hiyo kule Tanga, kampeni ambayo ilifanya vizuri kwa mwaka wa kwanza. Mwaka wa pili tulishirikiana na Tantrade kuanzisha umoja wa wazalishaji na wasindikaji muhogo Tanzania unaoitwa TAKAPA, ambao unafanya vizuri, na sasa hivi viongozi wenzangu wanazunguka nchi nzima kwa ajili ya kuandikisha wakulima na wanaushirika wapya. Lakini pia katika majukumu yaliyokuwepo kwenye Cassava for Life ilikuwa ni kuanzisha value chain, minyororo ya thamani ya zao la muhogo. Tumeanzisha minyororo ya thamani wa kwanza Tanzania unaitwa Mkuranga Cassava Value Chain. Tumefanya kazi kubwa kwa sababu ugumu tuliopata wakati wa hiyo value chain ni utofauti wa uelewa kuhusu zao la muhogo. Tunapokwenda kwenye viongozi wa maamuzi wanaamini muhogo ni zao la kusaidia njaa na ni zao la kimaskini. Lakini picha yetu ilikuwa ni zao la kibiashara na linaweza kusaidia sana nchi kupata kipato, lakini pia kuwasaidia akina mama kwa sababu kimsingi zao la muhogo ni zao linalolimwa zaidi na akina mama, linaonekana ni zao la kike. Baada ya kuanzisha value chain, mambo mengi tumeyapitia, ikiwepo upatikanaji wa fedha. Benki nyingi haziamini kwenye muhogo kwa sababu ya picha ya muhogo iliyopo. Donors wengi hawaamini kwenye muhogo. Kwa hiyo mpaka sasa hatujapata donor fund wala hatujapata bank loan. Yote haya tunayafanya kwa kwenda kwenye ofisi hii na ofisi hile, kwa mwekezaji huyu, kwa mwekezaji yule, na watu hawaelewi. Kwa hiyo haya yote tuliyofanya sofa kwa miaka zaidi ya 6, hatuna donor fund wala hatuna bank loan. Kuna wakati mwingine mpaka tunauza property zetu. Mimi nilipokuwa naanzisha Cassava for Life niliuza nyumba yangu ili ifanikiwe. Umeanzisha swala haliwezi kuishi katikati. Tumekwenda kwenye benki nyingi wanatupromise, lakini wao pia wanaonyesha hawaamini kwenye muhogo. Changamoto nyingine ambazo tukutana nazo kwenye donor fund ni lugha. Nimeongea Kiswahili leo kwa sababu ninawakilisha zaidi ya 80% ya wakulima Tanzania ambao wanashindwa kupata mikopo, wanashindwa kupata donor fund kwa sababu ya lugha. Kuna wakati wanaitwa kwenye mikutano ya namna hii wanashindwa kuhudhuria kwa sababu wanajua wanachokitaka, kina thamani, kina matokeo makubwa na mazuri, lakini hawajui watajielezaje. Na ndio maana nimeamua kutumia lugha ya Kiswahili ili wale wanaotusikiliza wajue kwamba tunahitaji lugha ambayo inawalenga wakulima wengi wanawake, iwe lugha ya Kiswahili. Kama taasisi au serikali itusaidie kwenye hilo. Swala jingine ambalo tumelipitia ni ligumu, kama nimeeleza awali, ni uelewa. Zao la muhogo linaingia kwenye zaidi ya wizara 6 mtambuka. Kuna wizara ya kilimo, wizara mama, tuna TAMISEMI, tuna viwanda na biashara, tuna uwekezaji, tuna afya, wote wanaingia. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya uelewa bado ni mdogo sana. Kwa hiyo badala ya kwenda kusimamia value chains, tunakwenda kufanya mahubiri kwenye wizara ili waelewe tunafanya nini. Gap kubwa iliyopo ni uelewa wa pamoja. Kati ya malengo ya Cassava for Life ilikuwa ni kuwaunganisha pamoja, lakini unapokwenda kama mwanamke mwenye kampuni pekee na kutaka kufanya mikutano na wizara zote, wanakuwa hawakuelewi. Unakuwa referred, nenda kwa profesa fulani, nenda kwa dokta fulani. Unapokwenda kwake haelewi, na yeye ana project zake ambazo anataka kuzikamilisha. Kwa hiyo imekuwa changamoto kubwa sana. Changamoto nyingine ambayo tunaipitia ni upatikanaji wa mbegu. Upatikanaji wa mbegu ni hafifu sana. Kutaka leo kuanzisha value chain yenye ekari 10,000, hakuna mbegu hizo Tanzania. Hakuna kabisa. Hakuna mbegu za kutosha value chain yenye ekari 10,000. Lakini unapokwenda kwenye wahusika, kwenye document wanaonyesha kuna mbegu, lakini ukienda field hakuna hizo mbegu. Tatizo jingine tunalipata kwenye zao la muhogo ni uelewa wa matumizi ya mbolea. Maelekezo ya kimataifa yanatuelekeza kutumia mbolea kwenye muhogo, lakini wananchi au wakulima hawaamini mbolea kwenye muhogo. Kwa hiyo inatupa tatizo, tunashindwa, value chain zina stop, tunashindwa kwenda mbele. Swala jingine kubwa ni aina ya mbegu. Kama nilivyoeleza awali, muhogo unatumika sana kama chakula, lakini pia kwa ajili ya kufanya kibiashara. Mihogo unapompelekea mkulima au mwekezaji wa Kitanzania, unataka atumie mbegu iliyopita kwenye maabara kwa ajili ya kukizana na magonjwa, kwa ajili ya kukizana na maambukizi tofauti. Ikitokea bahati mbaya ile soko likakosekana, ina maana ule muhogo wetu unakufa, kwa sababu kwenye soko la chakula mihogo ya namna hiyo haitumiki. Inatumika ile mihogo ya kienyeji. Kwa hiyo watu wengi wanaingia kwenye muhogo, wawekezaji wanakuja mwaka wa kwanza au wa pili wanatoka. Kwa sababu inapofika kwenye mavuno labda viwanda havijaanzishwa, lakini twende kwenye soko la kawaida. Kwenye soko la kawaida mihogo ambayo imetoka kwenye maabara haitumiki. Changamoto nyingine kubwa tunayoipitia kwenye kukuza zao la muhogo, kama nilivyoeleza awali, ni utayari wa baadhi ya viongozi kwenye halmashauri kutuamini na kutupa maeneo. Dada Elizabeth alielezea swala la ardhi. Kama nilivyoeleza, kilimo kinasimamia kilimo, lakini tunapokwenda kwenye ardhi ni TAMISEMI. TAMISEMI na kilimo, je, wanajua kwamba tunataka kufanya nini ili kufanikisha hili? Kwa hiyo ardhi imekuwa tatizo. Lakini kwenye kampeni yetu, moja ya malengo ilikuwa ni kuongea na wakuu wa mikoa na wakurugenzi wa halmashauri kutoa ardhi zao kuzitumika na vijana na wanawake wa vijijini, ili watakapohitaji, kwa sababu ni zao la muda mfupi, itarudishwa kwenye halmashauri. Lakini pia limekuwa tatizo kubwa sana kwa sisi. Mafanikio ambayo tumefikia nimeshaeleza awali, lakini mafanikio makubwa ni kama nchi imetangaza kwamba muhogo ni zao la kibiashara. Kwa hiyo tunaendelea kukua, lakini tunaomba watu wa benki, tunaomba watu wanaotoa fedha watupe training. Ziwepo training za kuelekeza namna ya kumanage, namna ya kuandika ripoti, namna ya kuomba na namna ya kufuatilia mikopo, lakini na hizo fandi zinazotolewa. Naamini hayo yote yakifanyiwa kazi, tutakuwa tumefika hatua kubwa. Lakini pia uelewa kuhusu muhogo. Kumekuwa na matoleo na machapisho mengi sana kuhusu zao la muhogo, ambao kimsingi sio mimi tu ambaye niko kwenye level hii, hata wale walioko kwenye level ya chini hawauelewi kabisa. Mpaka hapa nashukuru kwa kusikiliza. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Rose Urio. And I'll just do a brief translation of what Rose has just said. One of the factors that she directly mentioned that today I'll be speaking Swahili for the fact that most Tanzanian farmers and women will not speak English like the way we're doing. And that has been a challenge for a lot of women to get financing. So, and also financing in the sense of she is in the value chain of cassava, and she has launched a Cassava for Life campaign in Kilindi, Tanga, that contributes to the achievement of agriculture sector program phase 2, ASDP 2, by transforming the agriculture sector towards higher productivity, commercialization level, and smallholder income for improved livelihood and food security and nutrition. She has been working with women in changing the mindset that cassava is not just a crop that is for poor people, but it is something that you can be used for business. And she noted some of the challenges that she's faced is that a lot of the banks that she has visited have not been convinced that cassava is a crop that is serious and business can be, and it can create business for them. And this is one of the key challenges that she has addressed. I applaud you, Rose, for ensuring that you're working with the women and the women in the cassava. And we do believe that having Kapinga, Dr. Kapinga here with IITA, I think you two should have a sit down and see how best to translate this narrative of the cassava, because I believe that IITA and Agri have done a lot of research with regards to the cassava and how it can help the community in Tanzania. Thank you very much, Rose. And now I'll go to myself. My name is Fatma Fernandez. I am the Business Development Manager at Principle Group Limited. Basically, we are an IT ad tech solutions company here in Tanzania. We've been in business for the past 8 years, and most of the challenges have been mentioned by a lot of the women that have spoken today, from financing to access to market. But I will talk about the leveraging factor. The leveraging factor for us women is, one, we need to be confident in our product, we need to be confident in ourselves, and we need to be self-aware with what we're putting out to the market. And that's something that Faustin has really mentioned and pointed to. And this is very, very important, especially in ensuring that you get the right ear to listen to your product or your pitch. And a lot of us are, I've been lucky to meet women, and I don't necessarily meet them physically, but I listen to them and I follow them and I see how best I can learn from them. And these are the things that young women currently are doing. And yes, we have many women in the rural areas who are not able to get this. So how do we push the visual agenda? And I think VALUE4HER, I would say the connection that we would get from this is we need to not only leave it to being just a digital platform, but also push at least a small group of people to be going to these rural areas and talking to women and inspiring them and telling them about our stories. And these are the stories that lots of women need to hear. We need to hear stories of Rose, we need to hear stories of Elizabeth. And these stories are the stories that are going to empower these women to make that move that we need them to move and to change their lives. And that's basically what I did. I was working for an ad tech, I was working for a technology company for 4 years. And in these years, I was working for a male leader. And I would always bring in the numbers, 1 billion, 2 billion. And then one day, I asked myself, why am I working for someone when I can work for myself? I can do this myself. And I noticed the gap that when I would come back to the office and say, hey, the market says this, like the NGOs that I'm meeting are saying that these prices are too high, we need to bring down these prices of technology. I would always get the, no, you cannot do that. But then I realized that if the business is mine, I can bring down the prices, and by bringing down the price, I would increase the customer base. And that's basically what we managed to do. At Principle Group Limited, we've currently done 4 big ad tech solutions. The first one is eHakiki. eHakiki is a platform that helps farmers verify their seeds and inputs in Tanzania, and we have gotten into a government contract with TOSCI, Tanzania Official Seed Certification, And basically every seed that you buy at the moment has our sticker that a farmer will scratch, and it's free to the farmer. And those are the things, for me, the main point that I wanted to bring about is impact. How can I bring impact to the society as a woman? So most of these women didn't know that the seed they were buying is fake. So we wanted to ensure that the seed that you're buying is not fake by you scratching and making sure that when you scratch and dial the short code, which is free to you for you to use, then you'd be able to know that the seed that you're purchasing is okay, and you'd be able to increase your productivity. We also worked with Agriculture Council of Tanzania to develop an e-voucher system. And we tested this in Morogoro, whereby we subsidized rice seeds. And this the pilot was really, really successful. It's just sad that the government didn't go the way we wanted them to go, whereby they would subsidize the seeds. And I believe, yes, Faustin, we need to have this, and I think this kind of forum, this VALUE4HER, would be a forum for policy, because we need the regulators in the room for them to listen to us and for them to then learn what are the challenges that we have and how best we can address these challenges. So I do thank Agra. Agra actually believed in our idea. We did a proposal for eHakiki, and they're like, who is Queenswood? That proposal took some time, and thank you, Hedwig, if you're here, and Vianney for pushing this product. And now Tanzania is, like other countries, Ghana and Kenya and Uganda, who have tested e-verification. We're the first that have actually made it business, and we are actually making it whereby we are being paid by the government to do this verification. So thank you very much for believing in us. Now I'm moving forward to Vianney to close this connection, or this networking session. Thank you very much. Karibu Vianney.
Thank you, Fatma. Thank you for good moderation. Thanks for the panelists, for the guest of honor. I will not close this meeting. I will want Sabidio to close the meeting in a more purposive way. My case is I want to urge to Tanzanian women to be part of this platform. It's very important. Personally, I've had several hiccups where Tanzanians don't participate in such interventions, and eventually we end up either to be viewers or people who are complaining for the opportunities that we have not taken up. So my case is for the people who are here, for the people who can hear us, let's spread the news about this platform and make sure that Tanzania women are part of this one in a larger way. We have a very good advantage as Tanzania to be part of this one because of our leadership scale and the way we are set. So I will take time to roll this back to Sabidio for the final sentences, and then thanks to everyone. Bye-bye. If Sabidio is not there, we can cross. Who has raised their hand?
From the chats, we have a few panelists who are discussing. As we wait for Sabdio, we're waiting for you to close this session, but I'd like to just mention, we have Sarah Muya. I work in a seed business. I see the main challenge in the value chain is the crop market. We noted if farmers have the reliable market for crop. Yes, Sabdio is here. Karibu Sabdio, we were waiting for you.
Asante sana. Asante sana. So I just want to thank you all very much for this exciting discussion. For me, there was a bit of a challenge on internet a few times, but I got most of the conversation. I would like to commend all the speakers. I would like to commend all the participants for joining us for this discussion. And of course, I would like to commend our team led by Vianney and Stella. Thank you so much for this day. This is just the beginning for this program. We are going to come to Tanzania and hopefully when COVID goes away, and I just pray that it goes away as soon as possible, we are coming to Tanzania. We will network face to face, but we will also link up with all the key institutions. And I'm glad there has been a lot of reference to the women networks within Tanzania. There's been reference to the Chamber of Commerce. There's been reference to the different institutions. There's been a reference to some very, very strong entrepreneurs. And I was so pleased to listen to the young entrepreneurs who are on the show, on the panel. And this all gives us hope that we can transform things together. So VALUE4HER is really your program, and my call to the women businesses in Tanzania, please join the platform, because we're really going to build it to your taste, to your needs, customized to the business support that you need. This is the task that we have at hand, and we are going to execute it. We will be big on advocacy. You've seen us already. We have a couple of programs around there, and we will reach out also to some of the women entrepreneurs to come and speak on the panel to others. So there's a lot that has been packaged together in this program. So for me, I thank you all so much, and I really look forward to engage again very soon. And our team, of course, through Vianney, will let you know what our next action plans will be. Thank you so much.
Okay, by Sabdio's remarks, thanks for everyone for being and taking part into this. Sorry for the technological hiccups, and of course we have taken more time. We're supposed to have ended by 11 o'clock. Let's start the move and move on. So the agribusiness platform in Tanzania is on. Asante sana, Dr. Sophia.